Welcome everybody, welcome to today's stream. Hope you're all as excited as I am, or at least a little bit. And I hope you already saw the announcement. If not, we will cover everything here today on stream as well, so don't worry. Exactly, the Tethered Tank. Welcome back, and exactly, Guild Wars 3. Just amazing news. What can I say? Just amazing news. So here we are. And we, of course, I will talk about it, I will show all the news that we have, I will show the videos and stuff like that. But in the meantime, I will just do some random things in the Guild Wars 2 background. I sadly cannot play Guild Wars 3 yet, but we're getting there, you know, we're getting there. So one thing after the other. Welcome, Sorainen, welcome. We also currently have drops going on for the viewers on Twitch. We have some in-game rewards in Guild Wars 2, like heroic boosters, I think, some skins, and we have a really unique Guild Wars 3 t-shirt in the game that you can earn by watching like 8 hours, I think, of streamers. So if you want to do that, that is of course also an option here. There's just one thing I'm concerned about, and that's the YouTube trailer's description mentioning something interesting. Yeah, so I think there are a lot of things that we don't know about it yet. I think that is probably the biggest, thing to remember. This is an announcement. We have the trailer, we have some snippets of information, but we don't know a lot about it. So if you're someone that is concerned about Guild Wars 2 dying and all that stuff, we will cover that today here in the stream, but there is so much stuff that we don't know about it. We just got the trailer, the teaser, so to say, of what actually is going on. But there is so much more that we need to know to actually know what's going on. But I think you are onto something there. I think the description of YouTube is very telling. So I guess let's jump straight in and talk about some things. So the description of YouTube says something like, welcome Sergeant Tobro, welcome. It says it has solo and small group gameplay or something. So it is, so to say, not really what you would expect from ArenaNet, which is typically in Guild Wars 2, very open world focused, which is not necessarily in the description of the YouTube channel, yeah. I think this is something that is for some players that are really enjoying the open world gameplay of Guild Wars 2, the large scale open world gameplay with 50, 100 other players. I'm not sure if that will be in there. I'm not sure. It is not reading like that so far. But I'm hyped either way. I think it looks awesome. It has really good potential, I think. So yeah, we will talk about everything here. Okay, they're building a golem here. So it's interrupted. Cannot have that. There are so many enemies here, I have to be so careful. And it's a core necromancer, that's also not the best. Yeah, there is also a sale ongoing. Good point. There is a really big, huge sale for all the Guild Wars 2 expansions, and especially if you have no expansions or not all of the core ones, you get huge value, 50% off, I think, of the, how's it called? The Elder Dragon Saga pack. So if you're into that and want to buy it, you get 50% off. And of course, you can use my referral link if you want to support my channel for no additional cost for you. That is awesome, really high value. But other than that, you can even purchase Visions of Eternity. So if you're still on the fence, now it's 35% off. So that's, I would say, huge value that you get there. Just, yeah, pretty good. And it's only going on this weekend. So if you want to do that, be sure to do that now. Yeah, so I'm really, welcome Beard and Rock. I'm really I think there are so many snippets that we have about the game that is really interesting, but we still need a full-fledged, I think the trailer is awesome, but we still need some kind of full-fledged analysis. What is the game? What would they consider the game to be? We know there is movement is really important. I know they want to have build crafting really important. That are all things that I really enjoy. But we don't know exactly how. Will it be like Guild Wars 2? Will it be something completely different? I think it looks pretty different, but we will have to see what they tell us in the next few weeks, because they said there will be more news coming very soon. So yeah, I just can't wait to get more information on that. Okay, it's a core engine here, interesting matchup. Interesting matchup. How did that hit me? That's actually crazy. So let me concentrate for a second before we... hopefully win this 1v2, let's see. Okay, they got the interrupt as well. not looking good. Maybe my teammates can help me here. And then we can talk more about Guild Wars 2. I just want... Oh, there are a lot of people coming now. Okay, then we will lose here. That's fine. Super excited that they will support the whole Guild Wars franchise. Exactly. That's why I put it here in the title. We will get some news today about Guild Wars 2 as well. So if you're a Guild Wars 2 enjoyer and not really excited about Guild Wars 3, we will have some news dropping today about the future of Guild Wars 2. And my guess is they will tell us if there will be an expansion and how it will look like, or what will be the future of like how Guild Wars 2 will be running with Guild Wars 3 in mind. Don't worry, Guild Wars 2 will continuously run. They will do some updates. I think we will just know how is, so to say, what is the format. That will be probably very likely be told us today in the evening. I think it's at 6 p.m. my time. We'll cover it, of course, as well. Yeah, Halls of Monument. That is the big one, if there's Halls of Monument there. About Visions of Eternity with your referral code back then. I never played it. I guess you now can play it. It's really good. And I think if we get the Hall of Monuments, we'll probably have to anyway. So thanks for like supporting me either way. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think Guild Wars 2 will not be dead. Like, I think it will, if Guild Wars 3 is different enough, you will have both games be actively played. Yes, you will be right. It's not as popular as it is right now, for sure. But I think that is fine. Not every game needs to be as popular as the current latest game. I think if ArenaNet continuously supports and maybe even puts out expansions, you know, why not? Why not? Yeah, welcome, Yoshi. Welcome, welcome. Don't die. Yeah, I mean, that is true, Patricia. Welcome, welcome. I just like, you know, so excited and we have to talk about it. I think dying is okay in game. Yeah. It would be nice if it wasn't just an MMO, but more like single player co-op. I think that is like Destiny, like Warframe. I will bring that up more on stream here because we have some proof, some indication that this will be the case. Yeah. I think it's not the classic MMO that you expect from World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, and even Guild Wars 2. I think it is more smaller group focused. And I think we will have an open world, but I think it will not be as large scale as it is in Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I think that's my prediction there. But like I said, we will get more news very soon. Yeah. I think Guild Wars 3 is so far away that Guild Wars 2 is still worth playing a lot. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I would be really concerned if it's really close and they just instantly kill Guild Wars 2. I think that's just not a smart marketing move at all. How many hours left, guys, till the talk? So the talk in terms of like Guild Wars 2 future will be in 7 hours. So that is pretty like, that will be very exciting. But we already got the announcement of Guild Wars 3. So I think the crazy announcement is probably already out. So I think that's like Guild Wars 3 is the crazy one. But I think the Guild Wars 2 announcement that we will get later today in 7 hours will probably also be quite exciting. And I think we will also get some insight on Tuesday. I think they announced that we will get some like, I think Josh is there, and I think even Colin, they will go on some kind of discussion podcast or something and talk about what's going on Tuesday, and maybe we'll get some more insight there as well. So so much news to cover, so much like interesting stuff to wait for. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Welcome, Snowbleach. Welcome. I lost motivation to play Guild Wars 2 after the announcement. That's sad, but I can understand that. That's the first part that I want to say here. I can understand your argument, but don't forget, and that's the really important part. If you don't take anything else away from today's stream, Guild Wars 3 will launch in a beta, yeah, in fall 2027. So you still have like 13-14 months until the beta will be up. Typically a game, when it comes like as big as like an MMO, when it goes into beta, it will have months after it is in beta to its release. So I guess that it will probably by like earliest December 2027, probably more likely like in spring or something like that, 2028, that it will come out. So you have like essentially almost 2 years where you have news about Guild Wars 3 consistently tripling in, but you don't have any crazy like changes to how you should play Guild Wars 2, because there isn't nothing else to play. So if you're like concerned about the next 2 years, there will still probably be content coming. You will still enjoy the game, hopefully, because nothing else is there from ArenaNet. That's my important like point here. So if you're a new player, you might still like have like years of completely fine exploration and active Guild Wars 2. So really want to push that out here. Yeah. expectations are way up there, and I wonder if they are going to achieve that or not. Yeah, I hope they do. I really hope. I think they're putting all, like, so to say, all their money, all their investment into this new game, and I think if that's like not paying off, that will probably hurt quite a bit. But I think they're like able to do so. They pulled out like the magic of like making a second MMO already, so why not a third? Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned the battle royale and the team-based hero shooter. I think that is not gonna happen. I think that's pretty likely. I think it's more like open world and like instance PvE that is like the focus there. I think it's maybe has some PvP, but I'm not sure. They did not announce it really, I would say, yet. It was too more PvP focused for now, I would say. Fall 28, yeah, might be later. Yeah, I think Ash mode might be right. Maybe it's like the beta in fall 2027, and then like takes even a year to come fully out. That could be the case. I think I would rather wait longer and have a really good game without any big issues and a really good schedule when it comes out, than having a game that comes out early and is like half finished. Like really, I can wait. At least I can wait. I'm not sure if the community can wait, but for me, I think that's way more important. Yeah. Maybe Mistbounded's next Guild Wars 2 expansion with Hall of Monuments in it. It could be, yeah. Like my thing is that I'm a bit like concerned about the Hall of Monuments thing. Is that if you sell the Hall of Monuments as another expansion, yes, you might make more money, but at the same time, players that are on the fence, if they want to play Guild Wars 2 for Guild Wars 3, so to say, before it comes out, will not buy it. Because, you know, investing money in a game that you don't want to play necessarily is not the smartest move of them. So maybe it will be some kind of Living World season where they actually give it for free over the course of months. You have to log in and play consistently to get it for free, and then you get the Hall of Monuments achievements, because like purchasing an expansion to get the achievements is a little bit greedy in my opinion. Maybe they do it. I'm not like, I would buy it of course, but yeah, just putting it out there. Yeah. Exactly, there will be a Guild Wars 2 and 1 update today. Very good, very good. Yeah, maybe it's 2029. I like I said, if it's like good game in the end, I'm completely fine with it. Yeah, yeah. The concept art definitely looks like Guild Wars. Yeah, I think it's like, people always say, oh, Unreal Engine, it looks so sloppy and stuff, but I think you can like see how good it can look if they do like some kind of stylized concept and still use the same engine. You know, it's pretty like, it's an Unreal 5 engine, but it's still like looking pretty unique and I think awesome. Like I really like the art style. I was a bit like worried that it looks something that I might not enjoy, but I think it looks actually pretty unique and really good. Yeah. Yeah. I think there are less people playing Guild Wars 2. I just wonder if the website in Snowcross and all the website player maintain will continue. I think it depends a bit how they continue to run and develop content. Like if they just completely stop putting out endgame content like raids, I think that will be an issue. But if they continuously like do one raid wing, maybe one fractal per year, that is possible. Like I think they could just continuously support those yearly expansions, because keep in mind, they have developed Guild Wars 3 for the last 5 years. So they could do it. They could put out content for Guild Wars 2 while developing 3. So I think if they continues to do so, I think they will also continue to make websites and stuff like that. I will make content about it. I make videos about builds and stuff. So I think it's fine if they continue to do at least some updates. Yeah. Welcome, Boyorito. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. Wall running, and it looks like any other Korean RPG. I don't know. I think it looks pretty unique for me. Like it's not too like, I don't know, realistic looking, and I think that's a unique selling point. It's a really cool art style, and I think like if the movement is awesome, I think I bring it up again. I'm really sorry, but I think it looks like you have like movement that is like really like fast-paced, leaping, like attacking, even like stuff like that, positioning. That looks to me like very Warframe-esque. You know, Warframe's biggest selling point is the movement, in my opinion. And I think if ArenaNet can bring that in a fantasy RPG, I think that's a really good selling point already. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, exactly. It looked a little bit like Genshin. I think like Breath of the Wild. That is what I got from the art style. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. With Guild Wars 3 officially announced, how do you feel about progressing your Guild Wars 2 account? I will still do it because, you know, like I said, 2 years. It's still roughly 2 years until it comes out. So I just don't see a reason to panic now, because 2 years, that's a long time, you know. So you can still enjoy the game and have some goals there. So for me, at least, I always have something to do. And even when it comes out, I will probably still play Guild Wars 2 to some extent. Of course, in the beginning, probably less than now, but yeah, that will change again. If they put out more content, why not? Why not? Yeah, I mean, the trailer, you have to imagine the trailer is in-game footage that they used and the engine, yeah? So it's like, I think the trailer itself was not telling that much, it just showed the art style, but I think what it showed was like pretty convincing in terms of like that they actually know they can finish this game. That's for me the biggest message. And I'm hoping they will just prove that in the near future as well, what it actually looks like, their vision, yeah. Do you think 3 will be more instance-based? Yeah, I think so. I think it's a mix like Guild Wars 1 with Guild Wars 2. I would be very, like, not necessarily worried, but I would say it's pretty likely that they will actually make some more instance content that is focused on, I don't know, like, you can explore the open world, but it's not as open world focused as Guild Wars 2 is. I think it will be more, like, maybe some more hub-based, something like this, but we don't have any like clear proof of that. Yeah. I think the art style is on purpose because they are planning on updating the game for years to come. Yeah, that makes sense. But then again, my main concern will be gameplay, not graphics. I agree. I think, like, for me, trailers are all nice and all. I think the Game Fest really showed that. Like, there are really cool trailers out there. But if the gameplay is not, like, living up to that, I don't care. Like, I'm a gameplay enjoyer, so I'm with you there, Snowbleach. I think if they don't live up to the hype of, like, crazy gameplay, crazy mechanics, crazy innovation in, like, features and stuff, I think the game will also flop. They really have to, like, deliver there as well. And we don't know anything about it yet. Yeah. Actually, I think the Guild Wars 2 player base could increase a lot in the meantime. If the Hall of Monuments is done well, I agree with that. But we don't know anything. Maybe later today. Are they gonna talk about Guild Wars feature today? Yes, they will. They will talk in like 7 hours. They will talk about what's going on with Guild Wars and the future of it. Yeah. I'm surprised it's only on PS5. Yeah, it's actually pretty crazy that they are developing on console and only like PS5 and not Xbox. Maybe they are not like done yet and they are just not announcing it yet, but I think that sounds weird. I think you would announce it directly, so I'm pretty sure they should have done that. Yeah. Do you have any concerns regarding how they would manage, update, and maintain all 3 games? I think they are getting better at it. You can see it with Guild Wars 1. They're putting out like expansions maybe even in the future and like really good content and the balance patches even. I think if they just continuously run Guild Wars 2 as they do now while developing 3, which they did for the last 5 years, I actually don't have any big concerns, to be honest. Yeah. That's what they say for PR reasons? That makes sense, okay, yeah. The biggest question, will there be raids in Guild Wars 3? I don't know. Like I said, I think it looks more to me like an MMO light than it looks to me like an WoW, Final Fantasy, crazy old school MMO. Like, I'm not sure if raids will be in there. I really don't know. Maybe. We will see. I think that is something that we will get information, hopefully, about in the next few weeks. Because they said they will drop some big news about it very soon. Yeah, I believe it's gonna be great. They know what they're doing. I think so too. I'm showing my Duma side. What if there's no expansion and no Hall of Monuments? I think no expansion, that is possible. I see the possibility of no expansion. What I don't see is no Hall of Monuments. Because there is a really famous interview of Colin, like I think 2 years ago or something, where he said one thing he regrets is that they did not go harder on the Hall of Monuments from Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2. So if you make such a statement while already developing Guild Wars 3 in the background, like I would be so like worried with your mental state that if you don't do that at all, I would be just like speechless. So I think it's very, very likely that ArenaNet is actually heavily going into Hall of Monuments to make Guild Wars 3 attractive for the future to come, even if like Guild Wars 3 is already out, because people still to this day play Guild Wars 1 to get the achievement and skins in Guild Wars 2. So I'm really like, for me, that's quite likely that this will be the case as well. Yeah, I think I'm with you there, Viz. I think it's instant-based and pretty much very PvE heavy, I would say. That's why, yeah, I'm always bringing up like Guild Wars 3 comparison to Warframe, because it looks pretty like similar from what they announced, just more modern and more fantasy heavy, I would say, and more build crafting heavy in the sense that we don't know anything about classes and stuff like that, so we don't know how that will work, but I think they will give us some news about that. Some people even rumored, because they did not announce any classes, that it will be a classless MMO where you can swap, so to say, your skills on the fly. That will be very interesting as well. We have to see. We have to see. I'm just like speaking from my mind here. Yeah. Yeah. You had speculation that it might be similar to Warframe and Destiny. Yeah, exactly. To think the Hall of Monuments in 3 is connected to achievement points or other stuff like legendaries? I think legendaries seem likely. I think I would say for the most part, I'm not sure if like achievements, like specific achievements, maybe achievement points, but I think it would be pretty like hard for making specific, really tough achievements, like winning a monthly AT, like beating legendary challenge modes or something in the Hall of Monuments. I think it's more likely that they have some kind of like progress, like some kind of like, imagine you have a reward track, then you get like some skins and stuff like that, and you progress that by earning certain achievements. You don't have to get all of them, but if you make certain progress, the bigger ones are from like really tough achievements and smaller ones are just from reaching certain legendaries or something. And if you get a lot of them, you reach the end goal. I think that's more realistic than having a certain achievement for a certain skin, because that means that some people will not get it because it's just too hard to reach. I think they want to make it accessible while also somewhat grindy. Let's see. We will see. What does instant base mean? That it's not as open world focused. In Guild Wars 2, you go from one open world map to the other and sometimes have story instances or fractals. I think here it's different. I think you will probably have more open world where you are alone. I think it's not like realistic that you have 50 other players on the same map. That's not what they actually told us. And you go from, so to say, playing alone in the open world to playing in an instance with other like 3, 4, 5 people. Yeah, and that is like the player loop, so that you go into some kind of dungeon or something like that with 3 other players, and then you go out in the open world, do some quests there alone, and you go back into like a dungeon or something with other players. I think that is what I expect to be the case there. But like I said, this is like guessing, educated guessing at this point. Yeah. I think World versus World in PvP seem unlikely, especially like structured PvP is pretty unlikely. They would have said anything like somewhat in this regard, and they didn't at all. Yeah, I'm not sure at Chili Puff. I'm just like putting it out because they could have announced the classes and they didn't yet. Yeah. The total achievement points could be valued in, like, let's say if you reach 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, you get some rewards. But I think that will be a bit like toxic because, you know, I played the game for over a decade. That's why I have so many achievement points. A player that starts now will never reach those achievement points, like ever, because there are so many things that are bound to like time gates and stuff that you will probably not get there with annual achievements and like living world seasons. I think this is something that might be toxic if they do it too heavily. If it's like just 5k, 10,000 or something, yeah, sure, that's okay. But like going up to 50,000, I think like that's just a handful of players that will get that, and I think that's not worth the effort. Yeah. They didn't tell us much. That is true. It's true. And we can take a look at the notes and stuff like later. But I'm with you there. I think there is so much news that is not revealed yet that we just have to speculate for the most part. We just know it's actually real now, and I think a lot of doubters now just cannot stop doubting it, like, or they should stop doubting rather, because like now it's announced, you know, now it's official. I was preaching that for the last year that Guild Wars 3 is on the way and people did not believe me, and now it's actually true, so I guess I was right after all. Yeah. So, yeah. What's the pricing model? We don't know. That's again something monetization. We don't know anything about it yet. Yeah, we will see. Yeah, I think the concerns are valid. You know, I like to talk about concerns because I always like to talk about different sides of the perspectives. You know, sometimes you have someone that is really in love with something, but you also have to talk about the things that are bad about it. And I think both sides have to be taken into account for sure. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it, Diomedes. Thanks a lot for the 1 month. Thanks. Really appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the stream. I think they was going to do some Guild Wars 2 news today. Yes, there will be Guild Wars 2 news in 7 hours or something. Yeah, we will cover that, of course, here on the channel as well. Yeah. I mean, the main points we know is just open world action combat. Yeah, I think that's the main points we know, but I think the trailer also shows we have some art style that is not too like concerning to update in the future. Like if you look at, for example, other Unreal 5 games, they obviously often try to go for really realistic art style. And I think that is not always the best way to do it, especially in MMOs, if you have like more fantasy action going on, and I think that's Guild Wars 3 will probably be quite unique in that regard, and I think in a good way. Yeah, I think the important thing is what they say in today's announcement. I agree. Like, if they say, like, we have no expansion planned, we have no Howl of Monuments planned, that will be bad. But I would say if you have some kind of announcement, then you also have to tell us something. Like, otherwise you would just say, we don't have anything planned. So I'm pretty, like, positive that they will tell us at least the Howl of Monuments coming for Guild Wars 3, and maybe another expansion that is maybe bound to Guild Wars 3 in some way. Maybe Hall of Monuments in the expansion, but like I said, it seems a bit like greedy, but we will see. We will see. Yeah. Controller on keyboard, do you think this can work? I think it can work. I think I'm a little bit concerned as well if it's like too focused on controller gameplay. I really think it loses the depth of like different skills combining with each other, and I think it's like you don't want to have like a mobile game, you know? If you look at the really popular games like the gacha games or something like that, like they have typically 3-4 buttons only, and that's essentially it. No real action combat in that sense that you combo a lot of stuff together. I think that will be concerning if that's the case. But if you make like, let's say, 5 to 10 skills and you can combo them very well with the action combat, and it works on controller and can work very well on a PC as well, and then I'm not concerned. I think if they execute it well, I think it can be like pretty cool. Like, I'm looking forward to playing it. I think Guild Wars 2 is pretty like focused on like being the dynamic action tap target hybrid, and I think it's like going into the full action route makes sense. You know, that's what they after all. You know, that's like they are going for more modern gameplay loop without any targets. I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think the trailer and the game is using Unreal Engine 5. Yes, and pretty much that's confirmed. Yeah. Yes, Dommy Kitten, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Yeah. A realistic style will look outdated quicker than more stylized art. Exactly. You can see that with World of Warcraft. You know, World of Warcraft looks to this day pretty acceptable from the graphics. Like, not everyone likes it. I totally get that. But it looks way more acceptable than games that are, so to say, like trying to be like really focused on being realistic, but at the same time being outdated after a couple of years. World of Warcraft is 20 years old. Yeah, it's still like people still like the cartoony-esque graphics, and I think Guild Wars 3 will try to do something like that. I think it makes sense. For me, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Low skill for high skill ceiling would be my dream. I agree. Like, that would be awesome. But I think action combat tends to be have a high skill ceiling. So I think that's pretty much a given, because if you have like really like parrying, you have like combo attacks, like, I don't know, like in Black Desert or something, where you have like crazy combos that you can do, where you have to press a lot of different buttons. I think that is high skill ceiling, like baseline, if they execute it well. If the skill floor can be low, I think that will be interesting. I'm not sure if they can pull that one off, because action combat tends to be like pretty like spammy and like action heavy. Obviously, it's in the name. So I'm not sure. I hope for both. I'm with you there. I think that's an ideal game, but we don't know anything about it yet, so we can just speculate. Yeah, I mean, it's funny that most games use like Unreal Engine 5, and they just announced Unreal Engine 6. Obviously, it's still years out, but still, that's pretty funny to me that like nowadays it's like all the new games using an engine that is like pretty much outdated when they come out. But I guess that's fine. You know, it's pretty much a good engine to use, even though a lot of people have negative opinions about it. I think if you make a good game out of the engine, it's still a great game. Yeah. Can't wait to see the combat and specs. Yeah, I think for me, it's like I like to see the features. You know, now I saw the art style and stuff. Sure, nice and all, but I'm a feature guy. You know, I like to see the features. How is the build crafting gonna work? What is the end game? How is the schedule? What is happening in the next 3 years after it came out? And what's the monetization? What's the class system? Like all that stuff. I have so many questions, and I want to know all of them. Yeah, so we will have to see. We will have to see and wait, I guess. Yeah. They also mentioned strategy, so I hope it won't be too spammy. Yeah, exactly. So let's take a look at it. Like, I have some things here on screen. Let me open that. So let's start with the Steam one. So on Steam, they say here, become a Veil Warden, a guardian of the land of Ore. So we were actually pretty correct that it's really, we are going in the past, I guess, and talking about Ore. And then protector of the people and spirits that call Ore home. Discover untold stories and forge lasting bonds with your fellow players as you glide, leap, sprint, and ride your way. So this is exactly what I get the vibes here of you explore. But it does not necessarily tell you that you play in an open world with like 50 other players. I think like if you say with your fellow players, that means more like in a smaller party or something. At least the vibes for me, yeah. And then here the important part that you already mentioned here. Master combat system where death is achieved through strategic skill use. Strategic skill use. So I don't think it will be spammy. I don't think it will have boons that are permanently up. It's more about using this one skill to counter this other skill. Comboing this attack with this attack to get some really good like modifier or something. Positioning and movement. Where action RPG combat meets Guild Wars build making. So they are really going for the Guild Wars build making, and I think that's really nice. I'm not sure if they are really talking about Guild Wars 2 here, because I think the build making might even be better in the original Guild Wars. So maybe they're actually using that. And they're going for action combat, of course. So that will probably be quite exciting. Maybe parries, maybe stuff like that. Evading, of course. I think I'm looking forward to that if it's actually really well executed with the movement at the same time. Looking great. Creating a unique combat experience, run, slide, leap, and bound across Ore with a one-of-a-kind movement system to transfer your momentum between modes of travel, providing a free-form joy of movement through a world alive with adventure. I think it sounds great. Like I said, it's pretty much like just teasing us. It doesn't give us crazy feature like tells. We just know it's an action game with good movement pretty much. But I'm looking forward to more information about that for sure. Yeah. Welcome, Everest. Welcome. It's too bad we can't pre-order wishlist through the client. Yeah, I mean, we will, if they will do some more beta events and stuff, there will probably be some like pre-orders for Guild Wars 3 as well. And hopefully, yeah, that we can get that soon as well. Yeah, yeah. Why not make a better Guild Wars 2? I think that would just kill Guild Wars 2. So they want to make something different and have all 3 games running at the same time. Yeah. You need to be the first to start a guild called Protectors of Ore. Pot. It sounds good. Yeah, there are already really good guild names. I like it. I like it. Yeah. Maybe open world with parties, maximal 2 to 4. Maybe. Like I said, I think this is like lasting bonds with your fellow players as you glide. So this is for me not telling me it's like massive online, you know. If you explore stuff with your fellow players, that sounds more like you have like a small party, like a roaming party, and in open world in the like stuff. Yeah, exactly. CAC W, exactly. I think that is more looking like it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, Kami, I think like I like Warframe. You know, that is like commonly known. I like Warframe as a game. But I think even if you read this and don't play Warframe, it really sounds like Warframe. Like this exploration and this like small party, this is exactly this like playstyle that Warframe has. Not saying that the game will be like that, but the idea is pretty much the same, I would say. Yeah. And we got 2 years. We got 2 years, probably almost 2 years to wait until it comes fully out. So don't like panic now and say Guild Wars 2 is dead. You know, it first of all it will not be that, even if Guild Wars 3 comes out. They promised us that. And also I like 2 years, like almost, until it comes out. So it's still a long time to wait, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it will be co-op for sure. Like you saw that in the trailer. You can see that, like if you watch the trailer here, you can see that there is also like definitely, can we get the higher quality? There is definitely like 4-player aspects. Like they talk about it pretty like, or not really talk about it, but you can see the 4 players. That could also be like for the, how's it called? Like the races. Yeah, I think Asura are there, humans are there. And like I think Sylvari are not there, so I think that's pretty like telling. And we will have to see what exactly that means. Maybe it's just in the trailer, you know. But I think there are reasons why you put something in the trailer and not. And I think it looks good. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like Soulframe, exactly. It looks a little bit like Soulframe. Yeah. Yeah. Not sure why they couldn't build all this in Guild Wars 2 instead, because they want to make money, and making a new game is just more money and is easier to execute. You know, it's like if you have a programming project that you worked on for 10 years, sometimes it's easier to start building something from scratch than to fix all the mistakes. So here you can see the races that you could see, like we have here, like what is this? This is a human, and this is a Kodan. I don't know what this is exactly. Maybe this is an Asura. with a different look in the other engine. But I'm not sure if we have like Char in there, if we have like Norn in there. Maybe one of them is Norn. But this looks not as like Guild Wars 2 races as you would expect. Yeah. I think I missed the Sylvari the most as well. But I guess they don't want to do everything the same. This is just a trailer. Maybe there will be Sylvari. Just saying, you know, this is just a trailer. Maybe you don't want to show like 10 different races if you have them, because maybe it's really focused here around 4 players. That is maybe the thing, that it's like we have 4-player co-op. That's what they want to tell us here. Yeah. Asura with fur. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is. It looks like some kind of monkey with like elven ears. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. But maybe before they went underground, yeah, it's like 1,000 years in the past. I'm not a lore guy, so I cannot tell you the story there, but maybe, yeah. Exactly, the engine is very outdated. Making new content for Guild Wars 2 is like way harder than making a completely new game, for sure. Like LMKS is completely correct there. Yeah. Yeah, Sylvari don't exist in the world yet. Exactly. Like I think like the lore is that Sylvari spawned like a couple of years before Guild Wars 2 or something. So it's like really unrealistic that like in 1,000 years in the past Sylvari exist. Exactly. Yeah. Good point. Looks like Wukong. Yeah, a bit. Yeah. Yeah. I think it looks good. Also, many classes we know were not in the existence around this time during the past. So I'm not sure with like how classes and magic work. Like maybe that's like we focus very much on the gods and stuff. So I'm not completely like 100% sure how they will like work around that. Like if the classes will be like we just don't care about the story, or if they say like our story is like explaining how the classes work, how the gods work. We have to get to know more. Like some people said magic wasn't even back around then because the gods didn't give it to the humans yet. I'm not sure how that works. Like maybe they find a workaround, or like maybe it will be like pretty unique and has to have completely different or no classes at all. We will have to see. There are all things to consider for sure. Yeah. The past is the future, maybe like an alternate timeline or something. Yeah. I think some remaster is possible for Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I think it's pretty likely that Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 3 are completely different games and completely separate, maybe even in their storytelling. And I think they also go for different audiences. Like Guild Wars 3 will anyway get a huge spike of interest when it comes out. So I think it's quite likely that they are not wanting to sacrifice their Guild Wars 2 player base and just go for a completely different game with like this 4-player co-op and stuff. Thanks a lot, Domi Kitten. Really appreciate it. Tier 1. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Thanks for the support. It's just my assessment here. Yeah. All in theory. Exactly. They're banking a lot on the success for sure. Loki, I think Syrma is really happy that his family leads back. Mac won't be there. Yeah, I mean, I'm right. Like, you're completely right there. I think it's, for me, I think one of the things that I don't like about Guild Wars 2's lore in Guild Wars 2 right now is that it's so magic with technology heavy. I think either go all in on a fantasy game or make a science fiction game. I think this mix of Guild Wars 2 is not really interesting to me. I know some people like this magic tech stuff, but I think this mech in a world of like mages is just weird. And I think going back to ore with only magic and no technology back then, that is like what I think is more interesting to me. So I'm completely like admit that. I'm happy that we don't get mechs, but that's just me, you know? That's just me. Yeah. Stupidly, I'm more interested in the content map. Yeah, exactly. Me as well. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like you can type ! Guild Wars 3 if you want get all the links and all the my video about it and stuff like that. You can check that out as well. But yeah, we will talk about more today. Like we cover all the news. We just talked about the trailer and the Steam stuff. We will go every few minutes. I will talk about some other things that we have some snippets and we just debate it here. No crazy gameplay in Guild Wars 2. As you can see, I'm just talking to you and just happy about like the announcement at this point. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They want maybe interest some young people that is like not that they have never played a classic MMO like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, like all the like maybe even old school RuneScape, no classic MMOs, and they want to attract people that are so to say more MMO light interested, and I think that's what they're going for. Yeah. Also, since Guild Wars 3 is action combat based, it will be extremely important to have super responsive performance. Maybe that's why they mention smaller group-based gameplay. Yeah, exactly. I think it is harder if you have a full action combat to make a 50 or 100 versus 100. It's way harder to execute that well than if you have like only 4 versus 4 or something, if there would be any PvP or something. So yeah, I'm with you there 100%. Yeah. Really like this mix? Nice. Me too, yeah. I think there's an issue of scaling Guild Wars 2. You do these supposed epic battles that have 3-4 NPCs in them. Well realized that big battles feeling better in stories. Yeah, I think Guild Wars 2 is like, there are some issues, and I think they will try to solve the issues that Guild Wars 2 have in the new game, and will probably also get some, you know, some good things that are not in Guild Wars 2, but were in Guild Wars 1. I think they will try to make that work as well, and might try to implement their experiences of the past, so to say. I'm really like, I'm positively surprised about what the direction that they're going in. Like, really, for sure. Yeah. I'm not sure how Flocks and like Visions of Eternity will like really go in this whole story. Maybe there is some kind of story like going time travel, creating alternative expansion, like timeline or something like that. I'm not sure. We will have to see and wait what happens in the last patch, or maybe they will tease us something today. Yeah, either way, I'm looking forward to it for sure. Yeah, exactly. World vs. World has not the best performance sometimes. I think it's still pretty good compared to a lot of other games, but I think it's still like not the best performance, especially with FPS, because of the engine. And I think making a new game might be able to solve that, but like I said, it doesn't look to be like PvP focused or open world focused with big large scale for that matter. So I'm pretty sure that Guild Wars 2 will stay the game that you need to play if you want to play like large scale open world, maybe even like competitive PvP and stuff like that. That is my assessment. So sorry for all the people that expected like a big PvP game. I think that's not gonna happen. It looks more like PvE focus, small group, stuff like that. Yeah. Where's Guild Wars 3? Guild Wars 3 was announced yesterday. I think we will get somewhere next year. I hope we get some news earlier too. Yeah, so Kite, we got the news with we have the news that it will come like in beta in fall 2027. So that's the news we have. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it, Sue. We have a hype train going on. Thanks. Let's keep it going. Let's stay hyped. Thanks for your support. Hope you're enjoying the stream. But yeah, for sure. Like for me, it's 100% that it will still be like years out. So it probably 1.5 up to 2 years until it comes fully out. So don't stress too much. Like Guild Wars 2 is still the game to play right now if you want to play anything from ArenaNet, I would say. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how much a drop-off will happen in the coming months. I think my honest assessment there is that they have developing Guild Wars 3 for the last 5 years. Yeah, so we know for a fact they hired people in 2021, and they probably started like playing around with it in 2020 already. So I think they, in the last 3 years at least, they already went pretty hard on Guild Wars 3 development. Like my assessment is from a video that I might a lot of research for like a year ago. I think they already had like half the studio or more working on Guild Wars 3 in the background. So if they just continue to do so and just make it so that you have like a part of the employees, the developers working on Guild Wars 2, making some yearly expansions, and Guild Wars 3 being developed in the background, I think you can sustain making content for both games. Nice, thanks for the bits, really appreciate them, Medius. Let's keep the hype going. Exactly. But I think there will not be as much like drought as people fear. I think there will be some news, there will be some maybe expansion, maybe Hall of Monument stuff. We will see later today what they actually have planned for Guild Wars 2, but I think the stuff is actually not like too concerning for the game, for Guild Wars 2 that is. Yeah. Yeah. Bro, if Guild Wars 3 is just PvE with no PvP, I will be disappointed. Maybe there will be PvP, Winslow, but I think it will be like not the main focus. And I think that will be cut down quite heavily, not as big as World vs. World, for example, is, or PvP in Guild Wars 2 with automated tournaments. Welcome, Haldir, welcome. We are so hyped. We have a hype train going on as well. I think the community is hyped. I think everyone here is hyped. Some people are a bit concerned. I can see that and I can understand that, but we are all hyped. So welcome to the stream. Yeah. Price of gems is crazy at the moment. Yeah, I think there are pretty good sales going on. So like right now you can like there are the sales of like some mining tools, and then more important, you also get like 20% off of like so many things like silver fat, which is pretty good. Like the recharging, the other runecrafter stuff. And then you have bag slots expansions. Like there is so much going on, so that the gems is like essentially like they just skyrocket because everyone that wants the sales now purchases gems. So it's pretty good. And we also have the sales going on for the expansions. So if you don't have all the expansions, especially the Elder Dragon Saga, where you get like Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, and End of Dragons in one bundle for 50% off. I think that's like the sales right now for this weekend only are insane. So if you want to support the channel, use my referral link, of course, as usual. But yeah, even Visions of Eternity is on sale. So I think it's like, oh my god, they really like want to like, maybe they announced something today that you have to play every single expansion to get the Hall of Monuments unlocked or something like that. I think they really want to like push like players to play Guild Wars 2 right now and like invest some time in it. Like looking forward to what they say. Yeah. A little bit hyped, you can believe it? I can believe it, yeah. I think it looks like a game that like a lot of people like, even though it like they were concerned about, yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing all the opinions or the comments in the chat and everywhere, because there were so many people, you know, even like on Monday when I released the video with the teaser that we all got, so many people said, nah, it's a Guild Wars 2 expansion, don't get your hypes up, it will not be Guild Wars 3, you know, and there's so many people said that in the comments, like, this guy is coping, like to every content creator that said Guild Wars 3 is coming out, like, no way, no way. And now it's there and everyone is like crazy, they actually do it. So yeah, I'm pretty hyped about it for sure. Welcome, Dustin, welcome, welcome. I enjoy your content on YouTube, thank you. Any suggestions for what order to do the main story quests? I would say you just follow the expansions, like just go through the expansions that you have, like go from like normal Living World Season 1 and 2 into Heart of Thorns, Living World Season 3. If you can follow the normal route, the chronological route is the best way to do it. If you're not into story, then you can skip straight to Visions of Eternity if you wanted to, but I think that like chronologically is the best experience for sure. The beginning is a bit slow, but then it like Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, it gets actually pretty good. Yeah. Thanks the Obscene Epicen. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the tier 1. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Very good. Thanks for keeping the hype train going. Like it. Thanks a lot. Honestly, don't see a reason to spend money in Guild Wars 2 anymore. That's fine. You know, that is fine. And I can fully like get behind that reasoning. But don't forget, we have still at least 1.5 to 2 years until it comes out, Guild Wars 3. And I think it will still continue to be like really like good and maybe even updated Guild Wars 2 until then. So I would not like say it's like too bad here. It's not too bad. You guys think that Guild Wars 3 will be ARPG-ish? Not really. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate the Prime, Chivon. I would say it's not, I think it's not going in this like heavy loot like based like, for example, Path of Exile or Diablo are going. I think that's not how they want to do it. Like, I think it will be RPG. I think it will be focused on, like, you have to have action combat and stuff, but I think it's not going the route of, like, you get insane loot explosions. You have, like, just the loot is the main thing, the main feature of the game. I think that's not what they're going, what to aim for. I think it's more about, like, tactical gameplay, more, so to say, like, build crafting, which ARPGs have as well, I know, but I think it's more about like the action combat and the exploration focus and stuff like that. Maybe some kind of smaller dungeons or something like that. I don't see it being too focused on like killing thousands of enemies. I think that's not how it looks like to me. Like, so I wouldn't get my hopes up for that specific one. Yeah. Starting and playing all the story as a non-story player is such a long quest. Yeah, I feel you. I'm happy that I did it over the last years at this point. Speaking of story, the way the new story ended with the recent update was really disappointing. Yeah, definitely. I think the story is like, for now, like not the biggest. Like, I think the story in Guild Wars 2 with the last patch is probably the biggest letdown, and I hope that the last patch at least lives up to the big story and maybe sets up Guild Wars 3 even as well. But either way, I think the story of Guild Wars 2 is not the biggest selling point. So even for story and choice, they might actually agree with me here. Like, there are other MMOs out there that have better story. Yeah. Yes, Piggy, I think I know what you're gonna ask. Yeah, I mean, I just like watched the stream and then I bin schlafen gegangen und dann I just woke up and streamed. That was pretty much it. So here it's my random German sentence for the day. Yeah, like nothing to explain. Everything like just streaming and then instantly, or like making the video about it from yesterday's content announcement, and then like sleeping and going and streaming again. That's how it goes. There's no reason to panic about Guild Wars 2 at the moment. Wait for announcement today about Guild Wars 2 and then we will see. Exactly. I'm pretty sure they will announce some bright future for Guild Wars 2 as well. It would be really bad for them to announce something like Guild Wars 3 now and have nothing for Guild Wars 2 planned. Like very, very stupid. Yeah. You know, when they will give more information today about Guild Wars 3? No, I think they will not give any Guild Wars 3 information today. I think it's only about Guild Wars 2. I think they want to explain the future and the schedule for the next, maybe even years to come for Guild Wars 2 today. Yeah, that's my assessment. Do you think there will be a PvP or even World vs. World in 3? I think there might be a small amount of PvP in there. I'm not sure if it will be large-scale PvP. Like, I don't see it in the trailer. I don't see it in, like, any snippets that we have of information. So they could still be in there and they could still announce it, but I think that will not be the focus. So don't get your hopes up too high. I think it might be more PvE focused than Guild Wars 2 even is. And Guild Wars 2 is already pretty PvE focused. Yeah. Guild Wars 3 will not be a solo mode. We know it will be with co-op and other players as well. We know that for a fact. So, yeah, keep that in mind. It will definitely be like 4 other players in terms of like playing together. Yeah, it will not be very like you can play it solo. I think that's the good part, but it will not be only solo. Yeah. Are you happy that Guild Wars 3 was announced? Yes, I was. I'm still very. I think that is a really like awesome thing to have announced. I still like to have more information. I'm still like, I'm not worried, but I still think there is like so much missing that we don't know that I cannot be like fully hyped about it yet. But I'm hyped that it exists and that it, like it's just already pretty good in that regard. So let's see if we can defend our keep here. I'm not sure. Looking pretty spicy. Okay, they're going in. Considering against an OR, shouldn't it be more PvP focused? I'm not sure. I really don't know about the story and the stuff. I have no clue, to be honest, because like there are a lot of things that you should keep in mind that like we don't know. We just saw the trailer. That's essentially it. Like actually we vibed them. That's good. Like pretty impressive here. Very good. Yeah, I think it's we don't know exactly. That's the main thing. We don't know exactly what's going on and what is, so to say, if it's PvP focused or more like PvE centric. We just don't know enough. That's the main thing. We don't know enough. Yeah. To me, the way they announced it wasn't the right way. I mean, what would have been the right way? They should have taken about the future of Guild Wars 2 and announced. I think they just didn't have enough time on the Summer Game Fest. You know, they now announced Guild Wars 3 and they will talk about the future in more of like a public Guild Wars 2 space and not focus too much on like the big announcement, which is essentially what they wanted to get a lot of players, the information out to players that never played Guild Wars before. Yeah. Yeah. Can you explain why Hall of Monuments is so important? It's important to keep the game interesting to players in the future, so that if you now announce Guild Wars 3 and you will say, yeah, Guild Wars 2 is dead, no one plays Guild Wars 2 until Guild Wars 3 comes out. So for ArenaNet, for us content creators, for players that enjoy Guild Wars 2 to play right now, we want to have, so to say, a state of, yeah, the game is still actively being played because people are going for achievements, titles, whatever, skins in the long run. And that's why the Hall of Monuments is pretty important to keep player interested in playing a game. And even in the future, even if Guild Wars 3 is out. And I think that's the thing here to consider. Yeah. Yeah, or as in the past. Pretty sure that it will be, yeah. Yes. I'm currently playing Elementalist. Yeah, so Evoker. I got all my drops and didn't receive the chair. What do I do about that? So first of all, I would say sometimes you just have to wait a bit because sometimes it just takes a while, and otherwise you just maybe have to write support. That sometimes happens. But I would say for most people, you just have to wait because there are obviously a lot of people going for the drops right now. Just being a bit patient. Oh, can we get there in time? Did we attack it? 2 people here. 3 people now. Let's see if we can make that work. Probably not. That's too much, I think. That's too much, I think. Yeah, they have a... I tried. It's fine, it's fine. For the cause, you know, for the cause. Yeah. Like I received the shirt, but not the chair. Maybe you already have the chair? Could that be the case? Sometimes that's some, but I think you should still receive it. I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah, thanks chat for helping. Probably races? Yeah, there will be fall races, I think. That's how it looks like to me. Yeah. What do you think they're going to add on Hall of Monuments? Like a little bit everything of all game ends? Yeah, I think my suggestion or my idea would be that Hall of Monuments will be something that is pretty like heavily tied to some kind of reward progress, that you like have like, let's say 100 steps, like a meta achievement. Yeah, let's imagine you have a meta achievement. What is it like? I don't know, Visions of Eternity, Shipwreck Strand meta achievement. You know, you need 36 achievements, but you have like way more. You have like 40, 50, 60, whatever. So you can decide which ones you go for, and then you progress and get some rewards on the way. And if you make like half of them, 75% of them, you get the full reward. You don't need to get every single one. And then there would be like some achievements in there that are harder to get and give you more progress than other achievements. That is my educated guess here, but I don't know. Yeah, we will have to see. That would be something that seems to be likely to be announced today, I would say. Yeah, I'm not sure, Piggy, if that is the smartest way for Renanet to do them, to carry over skins. Like, I think like a lot of players that play Guild Wars 2 a lot and want to get legendaries and stuff and want to see them in like the future game as well. I can understand that statement, but at the same time, I think it's important that you get a full reset. You don't want to have a situation where players already have the best in slot gear, the best in slot skins or whatever, when the game is out, you know? I think that is very important, that they actually go and aim to make a new game, a fresh start for everybody, so that new players say, yeah, this guy might have played a decade of Guild Wars 2, but we are on the same page. We start at the same level. So I think you have to be really careful to how to tackle this. Yeah. Welcome, chat. Welcome. So hyped. Yeah, we are all hyped, hopefully. Yeah. Is it worth buying expansions for Guild Wars 2 now? I would say if you ever want to play Guild Wars 2, and currently it's like looking good to have a good future with Hall of Monuments maybe coming up and stuff, now it's the best time to purchase. Today and tomorrow you have still like the big sales going on, and you have 35% off even on the newest expansion, and you have 50% off of the older expansions. So, and 70% off of Living World Season. That's like pretty insane. So if you want to purchase any expansion right now, it's the best time to do so. And of course, use my referral link. Sorry that I always mention it, but if you want to support my channel for free, then just use my referral links down below, or just !buy in the chat as well. Yeah. Are the team rewards in World vs. World gone? No, they are not gone. They are still there. They are still there. You see them. Oh wait. Good point. Where are they actually? I think the beta is over. So I guess they just were not happy with it or whatever, didn't include it now. Good point, yeah. I think the beta is over. There we go. Good point. Economy usage will incentivize new players to join the player base. Exactly. Straight to the point. That's what I meant. Exactly. Yeah. I would say it's worth to buy Guild Wars 2 expansion right now a lot, because it's like, obviously you have 2 years to wait until Guild Wars 3 comes out. You have a lot of content to explore, and you get it now for the cheapest they have ever been. Especially Chandra Wilds was never on sale as far as I know. So yeah, definitely, like, if you want to play Guild Wars 2 and it looks great to you, now it's the best time to purchase any expansion. We also have, like, even for players that have all the expansions, pretty good gem store sales going on. So it's like a big sellout, so to say, in that regard, yeah. And pretty good. Do we know when the announcement today is gonna be? Yes, in like 6 hours. So I will cover that, of course, on my channel here as well. And yeah, can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait. And hopefully they will announce the Hall of Monuments. That's my big hope there for sure. My big hope. Yeah. You think Guild Wars 3 will be like Warframe? Yeah, I think it will be pretty similar, yeah. In terms of like the gameplay loop or like stuff like that. It will not be a loot shooter, it will not be like science fiction or something, yeah, sure. But it will be similar from how the co-op looks and the open world and the movement and stuff. Yeah, I think it looks like similar for sure. As myself, who have multiple accounts on Guild Wars 2, I'm glad about Guild Wars 3 announcement. You see, that's the spirit, you know. I played the game for like way too much, and I'm with you there. I have multiple accounts. I invested a lot of money in Guild Wars 2, and I'm still hyped about the new game because I can finally play something fresh, something new, something where we can make like new experience together and learn something new about the game. So I'm with you there. Even as a veteran that has like all the legendaries, I'm not sad that I lose all that or that I don't use it anymore. I'm happy to get new stuff. You know, I see it always like that. And I think that's important, because if you're sad that you lose something, you cannot enjoy stuff that is new as much. So I think it's focusing on the new stuff and saying, yeah, I can still play Guild Wars 2 if I want, and I will probably do so if there's new content coming and stuff. That's like happy in both ways, let's say. Yeah. I'm personally looking forward to play some Push off-season tonight. Yeah, Push is actually pretty fun. Like, I had a blast playing Push in the last couple of days. It's just a fun game mode. Like, I think they managed it quite well, and that is a good point, bringing here up like somewhat subtly. I think they tested a lot of things in Guild Wars 2 for Guild Wars 3. Like, for example, quick play for raids and fractals. I think they tested Push even. I think it seems likely that there will be some kind of this going into Guild Wars 3. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it, Moxby. Really appreciate it, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Thanks for the support. Yeah, I think that is something to keep in mind. I'm pretty sure they tested a lot of features that they want to implement in Guild Wars 3 in Guild Wars 2 already. Like, I'm pretty hyped about that. Like, pretty hyped. Yeah, and Push could be the Guild Wars 3 PvP mode, like Piggy puts it. That could be it, yeah? Yeah. Where can I find decent builds for Push? The Push builds typically, I would say, are like just you play pretty much the same builds that you play in Conquest, just some builds are better there. So for example, sometimes supports builds are better, you want to have more AoE, you want to have more range, but it's pretty much the same meta. It's not like you change like the complete build and you suddenly play like, instead of like Evoker, you play with like, I don't know, Staff and Staff DPS Evoker. No, that's not the case. You play the same builds, maybe a bit focused more on AoE than before, but it's pretty much the same builds, yeah. Yeah, could be exactly. They tested Kodan, and it looks like we have Kodan as a playable race. There are so many indicators of things they tested in Guild Wars 2 we didn't know at the time, and now we know it's pretty likely that they will actually focus on in Guild Wars 3, like as a full feature, full-fledged stuff. Yeah, I'm really like looking forward to that. I was going to ask you, how many alts do you have? So I have like 70 alt characters on this account. I have, how many accounts do I have? How many Guild Wars 2 accounts do I have? I think I have like 3 or 4, but I don't play them. Like, I play essentially only one account. Yeah. I did not play Guild Wars 1 before Guild Wars 2 came out. I started Guild Wars 2 1 year after Guild Wars 2 came out and never touched Guild Wars 1. I might in the future, but right now I have a lot of stuff to cover and I just don't have the time to invest more time in Guild Wars 1 or any time. Yeah. Exactly, Staff Tempest, yeah. Just blaming Rush, Greatsword, Glass Cannon, that is also pretty good in Push, yeah. How do you think they are going to keep the economy stable during Hall of Monuments era? I think they will just try to like continue what they did right now with like the game, to update it, to make new content that is actually using syncs and keep the economy stable. And if they notice that something is like insanely, so to say, drawn out of the economy because no one farms it anymore, or the other way around, something is like, so to say, way too much, like, so to say, dropping and no one uses it anymore, they will just counteract that with some skins or some releases or something that are hefty sinks. That would be my guess. I think they are pretty good with managing the economy for the most part, with the exception, I guess, of Visions of Eternity's Mirrors, but other than that, they are pretty good at that. Yeah. Yeah, Gunzerkers are pretty popular in Push. I noticed that as well. It's just a fun build to play, for sure. If that smaller group content is like 5-man dungeons and action combat, that reminds me of Terra. Yeah, it goes in this direction for sure as well. And I think that's good. You know, it's a unique selling point for Guild Wars 3 that Guild Wars 2 doesn't have. Like, you don't play dungeons in Guild Wars 2. You don't like play as much of like, so to say, solo content in a small group with friends that often. It's more like either you play with 50 other people or you play fully alone. There is not a lot of like middle ground there. And, yeah, we have raids, we have fractals, but if you look at the player numbers there, it's way smaller than it is for other bigger games like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy. Those are way more popular and smaller on smaller scale and stuff like that. So I think they're actually going for a little bit of a different route than the one that Guild Wars 2 has. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I'm not sure with the Holy Trinity and classes and stuff. That is a really good topic to bring up here. I'm really not sure about that because like Holy Trinity needs to some extent some kind of classes. Otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. But we have no information about classes whatsoever. There could be no classes at all for all we know in Guild Wars 3. So it could be a classless game. Could be, could not be, we have to see. Like I said, we don't have enough information to make any speculations about the features of the game for the most part. That is sad, but it's also exciting because we know there will be more news dropping pretty soon. Yeah. The best thing that they can do is announce the Guild Wars 2 expansion. Yeah, I think it's quite likely that they will announce another expansion today. It was just they didn't have enough money or resources or energy to announce it on like the Game Awards festival. I think it's like, or the Summer Fest. I think it's more realistic to make the big announcement of Guild Wars 3 and then like make the other Guild Wars 2 announcement, which is not as crazy, just to the Guild Wars 2 player base. I think that makes sense. Yeah. But don't get your hopes up too high. It might also be just some kind of Living World season for Hall of Monuments coming in the future. We don't know. We have to wait for that. I started leveling a Ranger after playing Reaper for a long time. How do you rate Ranger elite specs for PvE? Pretty high, like A+ tier, maybe S tier. It's really good in PvE. Untamed is insanely good. Druid is good as a healer, as a DPS as well. Soul Beast is extremely good as a DPS, and Gale Shot is good as a DPS. I think Ranger is one of the best well-rounded classes in PvE to play. So if you're a Ranger enjoyer, if you enjoy the class fantasy, yeah, pretty good pick. But it goes for almost all the classes, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah. It will be interesting if they add some kind of like heroes like they did in Guild Wars 1 and maybe add some kind of heroes to Guild Wars 2 to make it easier to actually play. Or they could do the same route in Guild Wars 3 because they already teased us that there will be some kind of like NPCs that you can like use to help or something. We will talk about that in a second when I'm done here with this camp. I will cover some more news that we have. But I'm pretty like that there could be some things coming like this in Guild Wars 2 or 3 in this regard, for sure. Yeah. I'm happy in that regard, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. How long till the announcement? It's in 6 hours. 6 hours. Yeah. Welcome, Filthy. Welcome. How you doing? Hope you're doing fine. What do you think about when Guild Wars 3 will come out? So let's take a look at it. The end of the trailer, is it here? Says the beta begins fall 2027. And that means that the beta will run probably for a couple of months, and then they will make some adjustments, and then there will be the full game. So I would guess earliest the game will come out December 2028. More likely is spring 2028, and if you are realistic because of delays that always happen with big games, it's more likely to be summer 2028, something, maybe even fall 2028 seems to be way more realistic. So that means 2 years, essentially, that you have to wait for it, but you can still play Guild Wars 2, so don't worry, we will get probably a lot of new content in those 2 years as well. So that's something I want to cover. So we talked about Steam and showed the things, like quickly cover some images here, but you can see I really get this Breath of the Wild feeling, yeah? It really looks like, for me, this art style, how you explore stuff, the ore ruins, or not ruins, but the ore like atmosphere, it's really looking gorgeous and really nice. I think this is also like pretty cool. Like again, you have here the telling with like the bears or the codons and like some new animal, or maybe I just didn't recognize it as a mount. And yeah, looks pretty good. The wall climbing or wall running, pretty unique as well. We don't have that in Guild Wars 2 at all, of course. Yeah, just gorgeous, like landscape, I would say. Exactly, yeah. So there is that, but we have other news as well. So we have here the official website. Yeah. Let's talk about that stuff for sure. What we get. It could be August 2027 when the anniversary is happening. Good point. That could be the case for sure. I think that might be realistic. Like I think if you're like, I think 2028. Like they will, no, 2028, August 2028 could be realistic. Like that could be like realistic. 2027 August, they will probably maybe start the beta, maybe if we're lucky, but I think it's more like September, October where it's realistic to the beta. Like if they say fall, it's not gonna be August in my opinion. Yeah. Do you know what would be nice? A Hall of Monument system that combines Guild Wars 1 and 2 with the recent updates of Guild Wars 1. Why not? I think they could do that for sure. Like I think there are indications in like the things in terms of like what Guild Wars 1 is developing and Guild Wars 2 is developing towards 2, that there could be some kind of Hall Monuments for all 3 games for sure. So looking at the stuff we have like they're announcing it, and let's see if there is something like crazy here that is like really new. This is the website where you can like sign up to the newsletter and eventually also to the beta. And they a vast frontier to explore imbued with magic. You know, magic is there and alive with the vitality of the wilds. So what exactly does it mean? We don't really know. All across our rival guilds jockey for influence and control. Amid this ongoing conflict, you will join the Vale Wardens, a guild sworn to protect the land and the people who live beyond the walls of the towns and cities of Ore, and the nature spirits who call Ore home. So we have the guild wars going on, and that could indicate that there will be maybe some PvP as well, but for now this just indicates the time scale and the area and stuff, yeah. So we have to see what exactly that all means, yeah. We have some new art and stuff. We have also here some pretty cool art. I don't know exactly what that is, but it looks pretty good. Play Unbound. Glide, ride, and wall run your way across open world with a movement and momentum system unlike any other MMORPG. When you ride across Ore, you will do it in style on your Seeker, a Vale spirit who serves as your mount and your direct connection to the magic of Ore. So it's like a very special kind of mount. Yeah, looks good. For the first time ever, you can experience the world of Tyra on both PC and PlayStation 5. We've built a combat system designed to feel incredible no matter how you play, whether you use a controller or a mouse and keyboard. This is a game built to bring the magic of Tyra to life, where you will master a combat system that emphasizes strategic skill use, positioning and movement, and where action RPG combat meets Guild Wars build making, creating a unique combat experience. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm a bit concerned here about the controller or mouse and keyboard. That is something, if it's done well, I don't mind it, I'm happy with it. But if the game is getting worse for players on PC just to make it possible to be played on a controller, then I think it's concerning. I hope they don't do it. It looks pretty like they are pretty hyped about the movement and the skills system and stuff, so I'm hyped as well. But yeah, just want to bring that up here. Yeah, I'm not sure if World vs. World will be in the game. You know, with the guilds, could be with the guilds in there, but I'm not sure. Yeah, we have to see. Yeah, Final Fantasy did it right. Final Fantasy 14 did it right, and I think if you like try to do it like that, for sure, it will be pretty good. Yeah. Well, they have spoken a few times about the wars between guilds. I think that could be the World vs. World, the guild wars. Yeah, maybe. But like I said, it doesn't look like a large-scale open world, large-scale PvP trailer or like stuff to me. There is nothing indicating that other than the word guilds, you know. Today is just the beginning, and we know you have a lot of questions. You can look forward to hearing more in the coming weeks. You know, that's for me like already like promising. That means not months. They are not talking about like December 2026 when they drop some news. They're talking about like in June, July, when there is like some news dropping, including a look at the timeline and setting of Guild Wars 3 or the 6 gods and the capital city of Ara. So I guess there will be some lore drops, maybe some kind of like feature drops, but I think it's more focused on like the setting itself. Our goal for Guild Wars 3 is to push the MMORPG genre forward while upholding the values you will always find in a Guild Wars game. Design that's easy to get lost in for hours, but always respect your time and investment as a player. So this is telling me, like really straightforward, we are not going for a sub-based game. That is like, some people said, yeah, they might do a sub-based game, but this is not really telling me. If they say we want to have things that are lost in time, but at the same time always respect your time and investment as a player, I'm pretty sure they are not going for vertical progression and they are not going for sub-based. That is what is in there. Not because I don't like it, don't get me wrong, I would have played the game either way, but I think this is more indicating to that. Yeah, I think that is more indicating that they are like going the route of Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 1 in that regard. While creating a positive and supportive space to build community and share stories together. We cannot do this without you here, so you can help, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so this is like you can wish list and stuff like that, but this is all the information we have here from the website. I think there's some more things. Let me check. Is it on the news? No, I think that's that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Let's check if there's something. Yeah, that's just the Steam description here, I think, where you can say here the important part here is play solo or form a band of adventures. You know, this is telling me it's not 50 players that you play with together. It's just like 4 people. That is this half sentence is pretty like, this is the telling one for me. Yeah. Yeah, I think the microtransactions is definitely a way to make money here with this game again. I think you have to pay for getting it like to play it, yeah. And I think at the same time they have probably microtransactions, maybe not as big as they are in Guild Wars 2, but I'm pretty sure they will have some microtransactions going on. Yeah. For animations, exactly, like just skill animations, maybe skins. I think that's the most likely scenario. I'm with you there. If Guild Wars 3 can pull the precision of Guild Wars 1 targeting gameplay with the combat style of Guild Wars 2, then I might get my hopes up. Yeah, I think they are trying to make mixes of Guild Wars 1's strengths with Guild Wars 2's strengths and make a new game out of that. I think that's how it looks to me. Like, less open world 50 versus 50, 100 versus 100 gameplay, and more Guild Wars 1 like hero band group stuff exploring, while having good build crafting from Guild Wars 1 with action combat that is even better than Guild Wars 2's. I think that's what they are going for. Yeah. I'm currently playing the classic, like, just fresh air evoker with like Marauder pieces and with Venom Relic and just like those traits. Nothing special. It's really like the old school classic, just fresh air evoker essentially. Yeah. Could see a battle pass, would that be hated? I think if they implement it well, I think people would like not be happy necessarily, but I think if they make it like decently, like not too obnoxious, I think that will be okay. Like, the battle pass is all about, like, if it's just cosmetics, sure. But if it's like actual in-game rewards or actual like progress, quality of life features, that could be a bit annoying. Yeah, so we will see. Like, this is something monetization, class system, features in general, we have no clue about yet. So we will have to wait until they announce some more stuff. I hope they make it similar to Guild Wars 2, so you can buy all the gem stuff with gold. I think they might do that, yeah. I think that's one of the unique selling points of Guild Wars 2, why Guild Wars 2 never felt to me like buy to play, or like pay to win rather, at all. Like, it's like you paid for the expansion and that's pretty much it. So I like, I'm with you there 100%. I think if they make some good like gem store stuff happen, then oh my god, how much damage. So let's concentrate for a second. I want to win this here. So I think we won this now. There we go. Nice resistance. Resistance from the elite skill actually overwriting the fear. Very good. Not happening that often. Are you happy with the art style of the direction of Guild Wars 3? I'm very disappointed. I think the art style for me is not like, I'm not saying it's like the biggest selling point for me, but I think the art style is unique enough to sell it to players that actually looking for an art style that is not as the normal Unreal 5 engine realistic things. And I think it will stay modern for the years to come. And I think that's very important if you make a game that is like focused on being actively developed for years to come, for over a decade, hopefully. I think it makes sense to make an art style that is not getting outdated next year again. You know, that's why I think they went with this. You know, you don't want to compete against games that are like coming out every year. You want to make an art style that is unique enough so that players play it 20 years from now, like World of Warcraft does. I think that's the whole reasoning. So I'm not like concerned about the art style at all. I think it's the right decision. Yeah, they're not to have a subscription fee or battle pass. This is what distinguishes them from Blizzard. Yeah, I think it's quite likely that they will not have that. I think it's more like microtransactions or something like that, but that's pretty much it. Like, buy to play with microtransactions. I think that will be to over 90% the case. Maybe even free to play at launch, but I doubt it. I think it's probably buy to play. Yeah. I got quite emotional seeing Guild Wars 3 logo shown up on screen, so exciting. But also bittersweet in a way, end of an era. Yeah, exactly. I'm certainly not stop playing Guild Wars 2. The game means so much to me. Yeah, I think you still have, like I said, 2 years at least until Guild Wars 3 comes out, and even after that, I think they will continuously update the game. It will be. I would be very surprised if they just completely like stop developing it. They already said they will continuously develop Guild Wars 2, and I think it's quite likely that we even get expansions after that. But they will tell us more about it later today, so just stay tuned for that. Yeah. Seems like it's Guild Wars 2 many people wanted, i.e. Guild Wars 1 roots, but updated and modernized. Yeah, I think it's exactly what I looked for, what I hoped for, and like I obviously don't have enough information about the features and stuff because that's what I'm actually really the most excited about. But I think for me it looks pretty much like I wanted to. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. Welcome. To be honest, I did find that the trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds that came a bit after Guild Wars 3 did have a similar feeling with, if I'm being honest. I mean, that's not bad. Monster Hunter is pretty well-rounded games as well. So if you have the good feeling from that, I guess they did a good job with the trailer in Guild Wars 3. I did not stream. I did not stream the SGF, but that's fine. I did a live reaction or like a reaction directly after that, and you can watch the video !GW3 in the Twitch chat. You can watch that video. You have the live reaction there pretty much. So there were a lot of other people streaming, and I had to be silent, you know, neighbors and such. So I think it makes more sense to now stream and talk about it. It's easier to do. And you can get your drops this way, you know. Very good. Hope Guild Wars 2 won't get that, but that in the sense of no players anymore, like only 20 people in metas, no raid groups, the content is not playable without others. Yeah, I think like there are two things to consider here. The first part is that Guild Wars 2 in the current state is really like you are saying. If Guild Wars 2 does not get enough players right now, almost like 90% of the content is just not like as playable anymore. Like open world stuff, like meta events, like even like fractals to some extent, you cannot really play without other players. So it's like just an MMO. So I think if it's really like going the route that like no one plays it anymore and you just have to like find like a meta event once a day that is actually actively being played, that's bad. But either they fix that with like introducing heroes, which is unlikely, or they fix that by making Guild Wars 2 interesting enough to continuously being played. So that it's just like getting updates, getting new expansions, and then you have no issue with players because players still play it. You know, but there might be players that are not able to play Guild Wars 3 because of the action gameplay. They don't like it. They don't like the art style. They just don't have the the things. Oh my god, a Condi Untamed. I think that is something that you have to consider. Is that even Condi? I think it's not even Condi. But yeah, that is... Oh my god, I missed all my burst. That is a power Untamed. Oh my god. How much damage did I take there? It's like full power, full glass cannon. Like I think I got like 8k or something. Oh my god. That's too bad. Either way. Should focus more on chat, I guess, than like playing on Untamed 101. No one cares. Yeah, I think it might not be in hub MMO. I think it's unrealistic. I think it will be open world, but more on a solo aspect, and then you have like instances that are more like 4-person instances. That is what I see from the trailer. Did they create their own engine? I think it's an Unreal 5 engine. Guild Wars 3. It's awesome seeing so many posts on Reddit that people who want to start Guild Wars 2 because of 3. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good. If you're a new player here, you just have to ask any question and I will try to answer it as well. You know, it's always, my streams are always like that. So just let me know. Yeah. Explain to me why people would play Guild Wars 2 when Guild Wars 3 releases. I mean, like I said, if you don't like the action combat, if you don't like the art style, if you cannot play it on your PC, if you want to have like another experience, because it's not the same game, it's a different game. If you want to play World vs. World, if you want to like maybe experience the big large-scale open world fights like, I don't know, Mortarumov, you know, that is something that will probably not be in Guild Wars 3. So that's my analysis there, why you would play it. Yeah. And if there's no PvP or World vs. World at all, like people in chat say, then that's a selling point for Guild Wars 2 as well. I would say. For sure. At least that's what I would say, yeah. Slow gear progression and Holy Trinity? Maybe, yeah. Like I said, we don't know anything about the feature, but it could be a rather unique selling point over 2. You know, if the gameplay loop is exactly the same as in 2, just a different like art style and stuff, then I think it will kill Guild Wars 2. But if it's like essentially a completely different game with a completely different like progression loop, or at least slightly different progression loop, then it might not kill Guild Wars 2 at all. Yeah, it's just a like alternative playstyle for players that are more interested in certain MMO light version, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. And I would say Guild Wars 1 is still being played to this day. Yes, not as actively as back then, but a good point by the Haldir, you know, this is important to understand. Like, yes, for maybe you might not play it, but I think there are other players that still to this day play Guild Wars 1 because it's a good game. You know, if you have a good game, it's not getting killed by making another good game. Some players still like to play the other game. That's just how it works. It's like, look at Diablo 2. People still play to this day Diablo 2, even though we have nowadays like Diablo 3 and 4 out. Yeah, of course it's not as popular as back then, but it's still being played, and that's the whole argument. Just wanted to say I'm playing your solo power Spear Warrior and I love it. Thank you. Nice. Very glad I could help you. That's good. Well, Bugbear, always happy to hear that. I don't see why they won't make Guild Wars 2 dead. It's still making plenty of money, so you don't kill your main cash cow. Yeah, I think it's unrealistic. I think they will continuously update and will probably, I mean, I have to be honest, I think they will even make expansions. They will tell us today they will continue developing Guild Wars 2 and maybe even bring out expansions every year, maybe 2 years. I think that seems the most likely scenario. I don't see any other thing, yeah. Thanks, Patricia, yeah. I got reminded, it's very good. Yeah. Yeah, I think it sounds like, for me, like an MMO light for me, yeah. I hope Guild Wars 3 distincts itself through the new combat and movement style, more action-based, so younger players are attracted, and if you want more old-school MMO, you got to go to Guild Wars 2. Exactly, I think you want to have different target audiences for those games. Guild Wars 2 being more the old-school, classic Guild Wars like experience with like MMO focus and really like focusing on a lot of other players and a bit slower paced gameplay, whereas the new one is action paced for the Symas out there. Yeah, and I think that's smart. You know, that's how you keep a business running, focusing on new innovations than rather sticking always to the old same stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Luckily, I mean, I think like the thing is, you can make really good solo builds in Guild Wars 2, but even with the best solo builds that I have on my channel, other creators have on their channel, you will not be able to solo like some content. You know, you cannot solo certain fractals, you cannot solo certain raids, you cannot do certain world bosses because you need players to actually do with mechanics and stuff. So I think the argument that if Guild Wars 2 had no players anymore, you cannot succeed at everything, that is still holding true even with the best builds. That's why I say it's realistic that they want to keep it alive via just having a high enough player base. You know, that's the easiest for them to do, just continuously update it so that players continue to play it. And I think that will be the case, don't get me wrong here. Yeah. Exactly, you know, it's like play solo or form a band of adventures. That is for me exactly like an MMO that is like Monster Hunter, that is like some kind of like Warframe, Destiny style MMO where you play together with others, but it's not like as MMO-esque as other like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, those games where you can say, okay, those are like classic MMOs. I think this is more MMO light, so the modern version of an MMO. You don't need to have an MMO in the modern world because a lot of players that like to have an MMO play World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy or Guild Wars 2, you know, or old school RuneScape, stuff like that. I think you want to make an innovation that actually attracts players that never played an MMO before, and I think an MMO light, like Guild Wars 3 might be, is probably a smart move. Like, I would be surprised if that is not a smart move. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever someone solos convergences, I pay them 3k gold. I guess, yeah. I mean, there is some challenge to that, for sure, yeah. Fingers crossed, with mounts, gliding, and wall running from launch, the world will be large. Yeah, I hope so. Like, I hope the exploration focus that Guild Wars 2 does so well, and the mount movement and stuff like that is even more improved at this. I think that would be awesome. Yeah, I would love that, for sure, for sure. Yeah. Okay, let's take a look. We have one more thing that I want to talk about, which is here the Newswire article. Yeah, I don't know, sorry for the flashbang, but I don't know how to change this to dark mode. So this is some news. Some things are new in here. Yeah, Guild Wars 3 is a new era, not just for Arena and Guild Wars, but also MMORPGs as a whole, said Colin Johansson. The MMORPG genre has millions of players worldwide, eager for new, modern experiences, and the opportunity to harness that excitement is immense. Our approach with Guild Wars 3 is to push MMOs forwards to create an online world that feels believable, rewarding, responsive, and innovative, while at the same time respecting players' time and provide positive, supportive space to build community and enjoy new stories in our universe. Yeah, so yeah, sounds good, yeah. And various guilds are engaged in conflict over how to protect or exploit the bounty beyond civilization's borders. These multitudinous spirits will vary in size and influence within the ecosystem around them, with the most notable of these being the Seeker. As seen in the trailer, every player's Seeker will serve as a connection to the Spirits of Ore and a mount that will carry them on their journey through the game's open world. I'm not sure what exactly this means here with the size and influence. We will have to see what it's maybe story heavy. I'm not sure, maybe in features heavy as well. We have to see. And Then players will assume the role of a Veil Warden, a member of a guild of adventurers committed to preserving and protecting both the spirits of the wild and the land of awe itself. Through the deep character customization, already promising, and skill building gameplay the Guild Wars franchise is known for. Players will seek adventures and confront danger across this sumptuous, vibrant online world, growing the relationship with the spirits and the inhabitants of awe and other Veil Warden players. It sounds good, like not very like telling, but it sounds good to me. Yeah. A combat system designed from the outset to feel great on both controller and keyboard rewards positioning by emphasizing the joy of movement and momentum. As players seamlessly transition between various movement modes, they can harness their speeds and turn it into bigger damage and impact when fighting their foes. I don't know, like I said, not much to gather from that. It sounds good, but we don't have enough information to make that actually like really deep. But either way, I think that looks pretty promising, yeah. I think that looks pretty promising, or sounds pretty promising at that. Yeah. I kind of hope they will make it like Skyrim, that lets you seamlessly switch to multiplayer. I think they will do that. I think it seems quite likely that you can play solo and you can just like with one click or something switch to like playing with other players. Like I said, I think it seems unrealistic that you play with 50 other players, but with like 3 or 4 other players, I think that sounds the most likely, for sure. Yeah. For sure. The team player is king. I just really struggling in open world. Can't even beat a champion. And playing with 300 ping is a bit ouch. Hence I was looking for a solo build. Nice. Glad that you found them with the warrior. That's what we like to hear. Yeah. Yeah. Went from WoW to Guild Wars 2 because of the movement. Yeah, and I think if that even improved the movement even more nowadays with like the new upcoming game, I mean that looks like insanely good. Yeah. So we have here a player. One player kill. Let's kill this guy and then help the green guy because there are 3 people chasing the green guy. Okay, we got one. Just wanted to get the kill, you know. I don't care about if I die now, I just want to get a kill. Very good. So typically you receive the drops immediately, but sometimes it takes a while. You know, there might be some delays. I had that sometimes it takes a couple of hours even. And then it still happened. Yeah, so I'm curious about the scale and scope. It's only ore, but there's a lot of emphasis on movement and traversal. Yeah, I think they're going for pretty big, like big map and pretty big exploration and stuff like that as well. I think that's the strength of the Guild Wars franchise as a whole. So I think it seems quite likely that they're actually going for that as well. I would say, yeah. Why are you not doing Dragon Bash? It's so fun. I have to be honest, like Dragon Bash is for me like you do the dailies and that's it. Like I really don't engage with the festival at all. Like not a single moment. It's really the most boring festival ever. Yeah. And I don't want to stream it for you because it's like, why would I bore you? It's more exciting to get actually one-on-ones or something at least going here in roaming. And we can still talk about the game. Like Guild Wars 3, that's the main focus to talk about. And later the Guild Wars 2 like news as well. Yeah. Guild Wars 2 Reforged? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's will ever gonna happen. But we will more about it later today, what they actually have planned. Doing a good short bow, great bow, longbow build that isn't Ranger for World vs. World that is good. I mean, you can play some... you can play some Condi Berserker with a longbow. I think that's pretty okay. And... yeah, I mean... there are not that many like shortbow users out there. Maybe like Amalgam could be good with like shortbow or like Power Holosmith or something with shortbow. That could be okay as well. I don't know. Not that many good options in World vs. World, I would say, with longbow for roaming or something. Yeah. Yeah, I think like Dragon Bash, I made like a short section in my video where I talked about the news like on Tuesday about Dragon Bash. I made a short section where I talked about what you like should do for Dragon Bash. You can check that one out. But in general, Dragon Bash is like you do the dailies. That's pretty much it. There's not much else to explain. You can like not really farm like crazy gold there. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any tips for an Elementalist build with Sword Dagger? Mostly solo content and open world, playing Tempest Sword Dagger, and it's really good. But I'm wondering if there are other good ones. You can play, for example, like Weaver is good. You can play any Elementalist spec with Sword Dagger. You can play like Celestial or Power, and it works pretty well. You can even play Condi with Trailblazer. I think there are a lot of builds, though I would not necessarily... Maybe I will do a video about it very soon, because a lot of people ask like for a Sword Weaver build. Maybe I will do that as well, because you can make some really cool Sword solo builds with Weaver as well. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's sad that Dragon Bash is so lame, even though it could have been pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. What's the best role build for Revenant in World vs. World? If you're talking in large scale, you typically play like support or full DPS conduit, or you can play in roaming like any build. Like roaming is pretty much like you can play whatever you like. Condi conduit, power conduit, they're both pretty good. So I would say conduit or Vindicator as a healer in Zerg is pretty the best option. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Patricia, for sharing my website. You can always find my builds and stuff on my website very well. So that is quite good point to start, but of course not every single build that you might want to have is there. So I would say for World vs. World, you can check Guild Wars 2 Mists and Meta Battle. Those are pretty good websites for World vs. World builds as well. Yeah. Oh, Guild Chen, of course, yeah. Yeah. No World vs. World, and you're not gonna buy it? I mean, that's a fair point, but we don't know yet. You know, there could be World vs. World in there. I think that's the important point to understand, that we just saw the trailer for Guild Wars 3. Yeah, we saw the trailer, we know it looks good and like promising, but we don't know what the features are. And that's something that you have to understand. We don't know the features of it, meaning that the features could be something that sells the game or breaks the game for some people. Because just because it looks decent does not really mean that you will play it. You know, for me, it's always the features. The graphics is secondary, if at all. You know, there are so many things that are more important than the graphics. The gameplay needs to be fun. The combat needs to be fun. The features need to be fun. Maybe there's World vs. World in there. They just didn't tease it yet because they have not enough footage for it yet. You know, it's still in development. Who knows? I think they have enough time to come up with something like that. You know, it's still 2 years out, I would say, or like 1.5 until the beta event. And we get more news in the next weeks as well, so don't like be too sad about it yet. We don't have any crazy. We don't have the confirmation that they don't have any World vs. World in there. Yeah, this Dragon Bash or any festival is pretty much the same every year. It's the difference is essentially just the skins and loot that you get. It's a little bit different or updated every year, but it's not any new content. Yeah. Snowcross is good as well, of course. Snowcross is good as well, but they're not focused too much on World vs. World. It's more PvE. So people asked for World vs. World specific guides. That's why I'm saying. Welcome, Forbes. Appreciate your YouTube content a lot. Here for the drops. Nice. Very good. Glad to help you out in all ways possible. Yeah, exactly. On your website, is there a way to see how old the build is? I'm working on a feature like that. I'm obviously like very busy right now with a lot of other stuff. So I'm not a web developer, so it takes a lot of time for me to make that work. But I'm working on an update, so to say, for the website where you can see how old the build is, and I will also give you not only the time when it released, but also more importantly, say if it's still up to date. That is the biggest feature that I'm working on right now. But like I said, I have so much stuff on my mind to do, so don't like push or get your hopes up that it will come out this week. You know, I'm working on it. Yeah, have it on my mind. Yeah. Maybe they fixed the Guild Wars 2 PvP in World vs. World now. And maybe, you know, if that's not happening in Guild Wars 3, maybe that's the future of Guild Wars 2, that it will be more competitive focused than the other game. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Maybe. It's like, for me, it's always like you have to see the bigger picture for ArenaNet, and we don't know the bigger picture yet. We don't know what's actually going on in the background. Yeah. So we have to see. We have to see what they tell us in the next few weeks, what actually is happening, what they have in store for us, what they have planned for Guild Wars 3, and we can then draw conclusions from that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing everything on my own. That's like why everything takes way longer than it should be. Yeah, yeah. That's how it goes, you know. If you edit yourself, if you make the content yourself, if you make the builds yourself and make the website and everything, that takes a while. So please bear with me. Please bear with me. Yeah. It's early days yet, over a year until beta. Guess we have to be patient. Exactly. Like, patience is the key here. Don't like be too negative or too positive about something. We don't know enough about it yet. I'm hyped about it. I think it will be great, but we don't know the details yet. So we have to be patient. Yeah. Only entered the Guild Wars 2 world just over a year ago. Not worried as much as some others about the announcement. but looking forward to seeing what is revealed and have signed the Guild Wars 3 newsletter. I mean, that's the way to do it, especially if you want to get into the beta. I think you definitely want to do that. I'm not really sure how you will get into the beta, because they said something about like some players of you can join, so it sounds like a little bit like either random or you have to be first come, first serve. We have to wait and see what's going on there. But either way, I think that's like a good smart move to get into the newsletter. Yeah. Yesterday I finally got a job offer, then today I wake up to Guild Wars 3 announcements. It's a bliss. Nice. I mean, congrats for your job, that's good. And you know, Guild Wars 3 will come in a couple of like years, so like 2 years, 1.5 years. So don't stress too much about it. Yeah. In your recent uploaded Berserker build, I needed a lot of hits to recharge the Decapitate. Why is it on older builds that you need 3 hits for that? There is a trait, I think it's in Discipline, that gives you more adrenaline with Axes. And you don't have Discipline in this build, so that means in the end you need more hits with the Axes to actually charge the Decapitate. This is typically a DPS loss, but nowadays, because of Discipline being not necessary anymore, you actually deal more damage if you run the exact setup like I do, and that is a little bit, needs some time to get used to, but definitely like a good thing to do. You just need to be aware of it. It's just a different playstyle. Different trade lines means different rotation. Yeah, it's the trait like missing in I think the ferocity trait in Discipline. Yeah. Is salvaging worth it to get gold? Do you have a video about on what to keep and what to say? Yes, I have a salvaging guide on my YouTube channel, and salvaging is worth it. So to sum it up, if you get a lot of stuff from like anything, like for example, if you have like pieces of uncommon unidentified gear, you should open it and salvage it, then you make on average more profit, but it's also time consuming. So always keep that in mind. Time equals money, and in a lot of cases, for players that are new, that want to play the game, selling the unidentified gear, for example, on the trading post is more efficient. It is technically less gold, but you always have to keep in mind, if you don't know what you're doing, or if you know what you're doing, it's always a time investment as well. So you have to be aware of like, do I want to spend my time to get more gold, a little bit more gold, or do I want to sell it and play the game more? You know, those are the important distinctions to make here, and that goes for almost everything. So salvaging, typically always worth it. You just have to know how to do it, and there my guide helps you out. And of course, it's a time investment. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Patricia. Thank you very much. Awesome that you found it. That's good. I often don't find my own videos, so great job that you did it. Oh my god, they got knocked down. Oh no, we lost 2 players. They outplayed us hard, so maybe we should get the rest here. No, they teleported, okay. You need to do a guide when the best day to delete Guild Wars 2 in your honest opinion. For me, it's today. Oh, that's sad to hear. That's very sad to hear. I think like Guild Wars 2 is like not dying anytime soon. Like I said, they are updating Guild Wars 2. They might even do expansions. They will give us some news later today. I will cover it in a bit here on the channel as well, because we have some in the blog post as well. But yeah, I think it's pretty important to understand that they have developed Guild Wars 3 in the background for the last 5 years. So if you now decide Guild Wars 2 is dead for you, that's too bad. That's your decision to make, sure. But I think they will continuously update it. I think they will maybe even bring out new expansions and make the game still being alive. I think that, and Hall of Monuments will probably come for sure in the future as well. So you will probably have some reason to play Guild Wars 2 for getting some rewards maybe in Guild Wars 3 as well. So I think I don't see any reason to say Guild Wars 2 is dead or will die anytime soon. Hope that makes sense. Yeah. Do you think a newer game will allow Blishard add-ons? My hope is, like, I'm really like maybe naive here, but my hope is that this will be included to some extent in the new game. I think my hope is that ArenaNet actually includes some kind of really good, like, intricate features, and everything that is not included will be allowed to be used as an add-on with the API. I think like you don't want to have crazy add-ons that are necessary, but I think having a few add-ons that can be used and it would be okay for me. I think I don't see them changing their policy in that regard. Is it worth to get the 2 latest expansions since they're on sale? Yeah, I would say so. You still have 1.5 years at least until Guild Wars 3 is like the most modern game out there. So I would say if you enjoy Guild Wars 2, you can for sure get the latest 2 expansions. You will have a lot of content, the elite specs to cover, and they are really cheap right now. Like they have never been as cheap as that. So now is the time to purchase any expansion. And of course, you can use my referral link if you want to support my channel for free as well. ! buy in the Twitch chat if you want to do that. So yeah, thanks already for that, but definitely important. Welcome, Humph. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's for me, playing Guild Wars 2 right now is about fun. You know, I like to play Guild Wars 2 for fun, and it's just the game that is currently out, and they will continuously update it, and they will also even get the Hall of Monuments. So there is like so many reasons to play Guild Wars 2 that I think it's like it's just not fair to say it's a dead game. It's definitely not. Like, it's very much alive. And there might be even new players joining because of the announcement of Guild Wars 2. Yeah, UI update for Guild Wars 2 would be great though, yeah. Can you make a video on Heal Alacrity Druid, a perfect rotation? I have the build from Snowcross, but you are better to show how to play it from your guides. I love your work, I'm a big fan. Thanks. Greetings back to Denmark. Great that you like my content. And yes, I'm trying to make some Heal Druid guides as well. Yeah, I will try to get to do that. Takes a while, of course, because I have so much stuff to cover, like Guild Wars 3 announcement and like all of that. But yeah, for sure, I will try to make that guide happen for sure for you. And it's one of the only healers that I have not put on my channel yet. So I will definitely try to make something like that work. Yes. Is the expansion cheaper on ArenaNet? It's only 20% off on Steam. Yes, it's I think 35% off on the ArenaNet launcher. I'm not sure. I think Steam might have some numbers that they want to take for themselves or whatever. So I don't know the exactly reasons there, but it is what it is. So if you're playing on Steam, you have to like say, okay, 20% is enough. If you play on the normal launcher, you can also get like 35 up to 50% off of the expansion. So pretty huge. Yeah. Pretty huge. Your guides rock. Perfect explanations. Nice. Glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm always trying to improve. So if you have any feedback, I'm always like happy to hear that and trying to make them even better. But if you're already enjoying them, perfect. It feels so real. I woke up thinking the Guild Wars 3 announcement was just a dream. Yeah, I mean, I'm like also pretty like I was like had a hard time to fall asleep yesterday, you know, or earlier today, I guess, because it was pretty like I was pretty excited and stuff, but it feels so real, and I was like hoping for that like at this point over a year. And I made a video like a year ago where I summed up all the snippets that we had and like the, so to say, job listings and like the so to say information that we could gather from the net about Guild Wars 3. And like now I'm like finally having the confirmation that all of what I gathered was actually true and is now like coming into fruition. I'm actually really hyped about that for sure. For sure. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the last thing, which is here the official blog post. Yeah, we have drops going on Twitch as well, exactly. Yeah, so we can do a later piggy if you want. So this is the official blog post, and we just have the same like things, nothing crazy here. And we have also here the what's next for Guild Wars 2. With the Guild Wars 3 announcement, we know the community will undoubtedly be wondering what's next for Guild Wars 2, and we're going to tell you in detail tomorrow, which is today, like essentially in like not even 6 hours anymore. Today we're celebrating the first brand new game announcement for Nets in almost 2 decades, and that deserves its moment in the spotlight. But rest assured, we're not done making Guild Wars 2 or Guild Wars Reforged for that matter. We're committed to actively developing all 3 games at the same time. And I think that is important that they tell us, we will tell you in detail, and we are not done making Guild Wars 2. So they are continuously updating the game. They want to make more about it, and they tell us in detail about it today. Today, June 6th, we'll be releasing a studio update video, and you will hear directly from studio head Colin Johansson and game director Josh Davis and even the director of Guild Wars Reforged as they discuss the future of the Guild Wars franchise, which will be happening in 6 hours, not even 6 hours. And then on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we will have a live stream with Colin and Josh, continuing the conversation. So a lot of news, like a lot of things that we get here, a lot of hype hopefully, and hopefully also a lot of details about especially Guild Wars 2, because that's what most players are concerned about. Hall of Monuments. Expansion. What is the future of it? Are they going into main attendance mode? Probably not. They will tell us. That's the important part. Yeah, really like happy about it. So they have an in-game event like with some skins, and of course we have for like essentially like 2 weeks, no, almost, we get some big magic find and reward track progress boost and experience boost. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. I've been only playing Guild Wars 2 for a year or so it's nice that I'm gonna be early on something for once with Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 3, yeah, that's great, very good. I'm using Firefox. This is currently Firefox, Mozilla Firefox. Yeah, but I use all of the browsers. It's just the one that I use here on stream right now. Yeah, fun is that all that matters for me? Exactly, fun is the most important aspect. Fun is always important. So, and now you can see here the big sales. We have Guild Wars 1 sales, so 40% off, huge if you want to get them. We have Steam sales as well, 20% off of all the expansions, and Guild Wars Reforged content also 40% off. And we have huge sales, like Living World Guild Wars 2, 70% off. We have like 50% off of the first 3 expansions in a bundle. We have 35% off of all the other expansions, including Visions of Eternity, which is the newest one, which was never on sale as far as I know. So now is the time to purchase them, for sure. But yeah, I think that's already pretty good. We also have the Gem Store sales, I covered that earlier. We have Twitch drops going on, as you probably all know, so that is good. And I think the biggest thing here in this blog post for me is really this part here about what next in Guild Wars 2. And they tell us about it today. I'm really like looking forward to this one specifically. Yeah, specifically. Yeah. Are you going to be live for the announcement today? I will do a video live reacting. I will probably not be live because I'm streaming right now. You know, I cannot stream for 12 hours. I'm just not as like mentally stable for that, I guess, but or physically, whatever you want to call it. But I will cover it on instantly when it comes out as a video and will tell you all about it. Yeah, so that will be it. Yeah. Is it still worth grinding in Guild Wars 2? Legendary Sigillus is all that legendary that I have left. Should I continue it or wait for Guild Wars 3? I think you should continue it. Like, it's still 2 years out, Guild Wars 3, and you don't even know what Guild Wars 2 will be then. Maybe it will be completely fine and you can still get expansions and stuff. So I think it's nice to have a goal. If you enjoy playing Guild Wars 2 right now, I think it's fine to invest time. It's not going anywhere, especially if the Hall of Monuments might come up and you might even need legendaries too to get the Hall of Monuments completed. So yeah, I think it's a good time to continue grinding. I mean, you have some, of course, some other thing on the horizon, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I would say. With Living World Season 2, I can finally do Seasons of Dragons achievement. Nice, that's a good one. Good one. Really good, like legendary from there as well. Yeah, there is no shortcut key to enable dark mode. Yeah, it's a little bit sad. And I'm not even sure if all of the websites have dark mode, sadly. You can force it, I think, with like Chrome or something, but yeah. Guild Wars 3 could fall through you never know. Exactly, yeah, good point. Right now, it doesn't look like they are like worried about that, but it could always happen. It could always happen that Guild Wars 3 gets delayed, maybe even cancelled at some point. Very unlikely, but it could happen. So, like, Guild Wars 2 is the game that is out now, you have a lot of stuff to explore and do in the game. And if you enjoy it, if it's fun, why should you care what the future brings? If you have fun playing the game, play it as long as you can. That's the important part. Really important part for sure. Yeah. What's the point of Legendary Armor now? No reason to pursue long-term goals? I mean, that is a fair opinion to have, but I would say like no reason. You know, why do you play a game in the first place? Because you want to have fun. Like, if you play a game for any other reason than to have fun, then I think you should reconsider. If you like playing Guild Wars 2, I think having a goal like a legendary is just even better. I would say if you don't have fun going for the goal, then don't do it. But I would say there are still like 1.5 to 2 years at least until Guild Wars 3 drops. And even then, I think Guild Wars 2 will be continuously updated. So I think there's no reason to say, I will not play Guild Wars 2 anymore, even though it's fun. I think that's not smart. If you like it, play it. Yeah. Exactly, go for it. Yeah, I'm currently doing Jormek's version of a rainbow. Can't stop the special version of all the weapons. Yeah, exactly. It's fun to have goals like that. I really think it's really important to have goals like that. It makes the game way more fun. Yeah. Would be nice if they make one launcher for all games. Yeah, that would be great. Like, I hope they do something like that. Maybe even with the Hall of Monuments together, that you get like a Hall of Monuments, all launchers in one thing. That would be really cool. Yeah. And then like the Guild Wars 3 solo party form, stuff like Warframe. So I don't know if I stick to Guild Wars 2 to play Guild Wars 3. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's a fair like concern. I think it's like if it might not be for you. Like that can be, I'm brutally honest here. I think if you're listening to me here, there could be a reason that you might not enjoy Guild Wars 3. And then you can just stick with Guild Wars 2 because they continuously update it. I think that's some really big positive that you might not see at first. If you run 3 games, you don't need to play all 3 at the same time. There might be one, even maybe the newest one, that is not for you. You can still play the others. I think there will be a lot of other players that are like you and they play continuously Guild Wars 1 or Guild Wars 2. And I think that's great. And that's why they said we never stop making content for those games. Yeah, that is really important. Yeah. That is so the best mentality to have when it comes to playing games. Yeah, I think it's really important. Glad you agree. I think it's like playing for fun is the most important aspect. You know, I'm a content creator for Guild Wars 2. So I make content for you and I talk about the game a lot. But even I have phases where I'm not as like hyped about playing Guild Wars 2 as in other phases. Sometimes I just play the dailies and don't do anything else. That happens. But I think you should only play if you have fun in a game. So for example, sometimes I have fun playing World vs. World. Sometimes I have fun playing PvP. I switch the game modes to what I currently find fun. Yes, I might have a goal in a certain game mode, but if it's not fun to me to play that game mode or play that game as a whole, then I don't play it. And that's really important, especially if you are not a content creator, which probably most of you are, means that you should play in your spare time the stuff that you actually find fun. You should not play it because it's a chore for you that you do every day. If you're going for a legendary armor, you should also enjoy the way there. You should not say, I'm only going there for the goal. This is really important. And I really want to stress it, and that will not change with Guild Wars 3, with any other game that comes out that I cover here on my channel. I think fun is the most important aspect above all. Yeah. Yeah. Play 6 hours of Guild Wars 2 and 6 hours of Guild Wars 3. Yeah, I mean, that will be the case probably in the future for me. Yeah, I'm not joking. Yeah. I'm too old to start again. I will stick with Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I mean, you can do that. That's Tommy, and I'm with you there. I think you don't need to start a new game if you don't want to, because they will continuously update Guild Wars 2. And that's the big part. That's the big one. The fun is lacking when I know I'm going to have to spend money on a new game in 1.5 years and all my progress is gone. That is sad to hear. I can see what you're like getting at. But I think like you can still enjoy the game Guild Wars 2 and don't have to spend money on it. You know, that's the beauty of Guild Wars 2. But everyone to each their own. I'm not like judging what you find fun. So that's fine. Yeah. Are they just going to cover the plans for Guild Wars 2 or will they also cover what to expect from Guild Wars 3? I think it's only Guild Wars 2 today. Like they talked about Guild Wars 3 yesterday and probably will talk about it the next few days, weeks. But in Guild Wars 2 today's like thing announcement, they will only talk about Guild Wars 2, I would say. Yeah. Yes, you can get fun from progression as well. And that's what I get. You know, I play Guild Wars 2 and I have more fun if I have a goal. Yeah, 100%. I can see that progression aspect as well. I kind of hope they do another Hall of Monuments system, but not sure how it would gonna work. Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work. But I think the story about the Hall of Monuments might not be as important as the actual fact that it's there. Yeah. A lot of people were disappointed that Guild Wars 2 was not Guild Wars 1.5. A lot of people are gonna be disappointed that Guild Wars 3 will not be Guild Wars 2.5. You need to rate Guild Wars games based on their own merits. Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. And we do not know when Hall of Monuments will come and when we will know what we need to do. If it comes in maybe 1 year, then you may also have to play Guild Wars 2 only for Hall of Monuments. Exactly. I think it's quite likely that it will come this year. Like I might be a bit optimistic here, but I think the Hall of Monuments will actually slowly be iterated or increased and it will start this year. That's my prediction. They will announce something today that will happen later in fall, maybe winter this year, and will continuously go through all of 2027. That is my big prediction there. Yeah. Yeah. What if expansion content getting low quality because they focus on Guild Wars 3? Then I will be disappointed. I mean, would you say that the expansions that we got in the last 3 years, so Chante Wilds, Secrets of the Obscure, and Visions of Eternity, are bad? Because if you say that, then I think nothing will change. I think Guild Wars 2's expansion will stay like that. They will never go back to a quality of like Heart of Thorns. But if you like the expansions that we currently have, with Visions of Eternity being pretty good, then I think nothing will change. They will continue to do so because the last 5 years they already worked on Guild Wars 3, so there is no difference there. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Mistbound is the Hall of Monuments. I'm pretty sure. I'm with you there, Dr. Moon. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there, Leffy, as well. I think it's very unlikely that the Hall of Monuments will be delayed longer than half a year. Like really early 2027 is the latest that Hall of Monuments will come out. I don't see any reason to delay it any longer, because that will just make a content drought that is unnecessary for most players. I really think like Hall of Monuments in fall or winter 2026, maybe early 2027 is the most likely. Yeah. You're about to be my favorite Guild Wars 3 content creator. I mean, glad to hear that. Of course, I will make content about Guild Wars 3. I hope I can be your favorite one. I will cover all of the news. I will cover when the game comes out. I will play it a lot, of course. But never forget, I will continuously to play Guild Wars 2. I make content about it now. I will probably make content about it when Guild Wars 3 comes out. So I will cover that all on my channel as well, on like Twitch, YouTube, everything. So don't worry about it. But I will, of course, cover all the news about Guild Wars 3 as well. Yeah. I have no infusions. Like essentially, like I'm just not a fashion enjoyer. I spend my gold on other things. Infusions is something that I don't really care. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, brother. I can understand that, brother Cakes. That it's not for if you're feeling like that. That is a fair opinion to have. I just want to mention that just because you feel like that, it doesn't mean that everybody feels like that. It's just how it works. You know, sometimes it's okay to quit a game. That is the harsh truth there. Sorry for being so blunt and so honest, but I think sometimes, not every time, it's bad to leave a game behind. Sometimes you can make new experiences going for a different game. And it's sad to see you go. That's just how it is. But I think, yeah, sometimes you have to be happy with what you got in the past. Yeah. The DLCs even get bigger. Discounts then get 35%. So there will sometimes, I would say, if it's like years out, like 5, 6, 7 years old expansions, they get up to 50%, as you can see with like Path of Fire and stuff. But I would say like the Chant Wilds and Visions of Eternity never had any 50% sales. So now it's the best sales that you got like ever. So I would say if you want to purchase them, now is the time to do so, with my referral link, of course, if you want to support me. But yeah, this is, I would say 35% off is pretty good. And I would say you get a lot of value with them. Like you get elite specs, you get like good content, you get access to a lot of features. I think it's like they are good content. Like how much is it? Like not even $20. That's pretty good. Like that's good value. Yeah, you play hundreds of hours for that. That's good. Yeah. Glad, Chris, that you enjoy my content. Thanks. I will keep going. Guild Wars 3 hype. Exactly. Yeah. Wow, 20 plus Everblossom. That's crazy. Impressive, Piggy. Impressive. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, you know. I can understand different people's opinions. You know, if you raise your opinion, be civilized about it. I can see where you're coming from. I don't necessarily agree with all the opinions in chat here, but I like to talk about it because I'm a content creator and I like to talk to the community because yes, I might play the game a lot, but at the same time, I don't know all of the other people's opinions. And if you talk to me, I can actually understand what the reasoning is, why certain people think certain ways. And then I can make a bigger picture, bigger overview of what is actually going on and can make content about that as well as someone that has, so to say, more knowledge about what the people that play the game actually like think about it. So yeah, I really like to do that. So thanks for sharing your opinion. I always appreciate it. If it's civilized, that's the important part. Yeah. Might just play the world versus world mode in Guild Wars 3 action combat would be great on player versus player aspect. Yeah, I mean, if it executed well, it could be awesome. Like I said, I think we don't have indication that this will be the case, but it could be. And if it's the case, I think the ArenaNet is really good at executing something like this. I will also start streaming when Guild Wars 3 comes out. New content creator upcoming. Nice, good to hear that. Yeah, we need more content creators. I think there's a lot of stuff to cover for Guild Wars 3 specifically, and especially Guild Wars 2 has not enough content creators. I think Guild Wars 3 will not have that issue in the beginning because I think a lot of the big like YouTubers, Twitch streamers, they will all get to prey on this new game because it's like, you know, everyone wants a new MMO, so I guess they will all play it. But I think if you start back then, you have a great chance like just to actually be popular, you know. I hope also that I can make more content and become more popular. That is my big hope, you know, because it's a great game, and I would like to grow with this new game as well. I'm being honest here, but yeah, looking forward to more content creators as well. Maybe we can make some podcasts as well in the future. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Also thought I would not play Guild Wars 2 anymore after Guild Wars 3 trailer, but actually I'm hyped enough to still play it. Yeah, and like you should not like leave everything behind just because of a trailer. You don't know what the actual facts are, you know? Maybe it comes out in 2 years and you will not enjoy Guild Wars 3. Maybe you will enjoy Guild Wars 3, but maybe you need a lot of things from the Hall of Monuments to actually have fun in Guild Wars 3 because you like to have all the skins, all the titles, whatever, and you will enjoy Guild Wars 2 until then. Either way, I think you should not be too upset about anything that we just got because it is just a fraction of the information that we that we have access to right now. Yeah, for sure. I think I made 4 builds just of your videos in the past 3 months. 2 new after the big nerf patch. Put a lot of faith into your input. Nice. Hopefully it paid off. I really hope so. Yeah. My link also should work for Guild Wars 1. So if you press on the referral link, it should also work for that. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of content creators have really bad inventories. I really, that is one of the main things that I enjoy in playing in Guild Wars 2 is like cleaning up inventories and making like gold out of that. So I always try to keep it clean. So I'm pretty much a very, I would say, not common content creator, you know. Sometimes I feel like content creators in Guild Wars 2, to become one, you have to have a messy inventory. So I'm a little bit of a unique one at this, I would say. At least to my knowledge, I think my inventories look actually pretty good, like pretty well sorted. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. The quickness untamed paid off. Very good. Very good. I honestly kind of sad with some of the negativity around Guild Wars 3. We barely know about the game right now, and honestly, from the way they modernize it, it will be a good way to introduce new players to the series or even the genre itself. Exactly. I think they're trying to go for a different audience, different target audience. And I think that makes sense because you want to have 3 different, so to say, like horses that you can bet on as the company. And if you have 3 different target audiences, you get more like player base, and that means more money and hopefully also more growth for the player bases. So in the end, I'm just like overall positive about all of that. But I think the negativity here is like a bit like too early, you know. You don't know enough about it to be really negative about a game that is not like really announced. Like, you know the name, you know the trailer, but you don't know like a lot about it. We don't even know what they would consider, what the game modes are in there. We don't know what the monetization is. So I think you're being upset about it right now is like maybe a bit too early for my taste. Yeah. How many MMOs are left now? World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14. And ISO, yeah, like, there are some left. There are Elder Scrolls, of course, like, and you have like, how is it called, OSRS. There are some, like, you can probably count on like 2 hands how many MMOs are left. So I think like having some big drop is like, if Guild Wars 3 being then like 1-2 years, that is like awesome, yeah. And I think the only one that is currently in development that is also somewhat like possible that it will come out at some point is the Riot MMO, but they just restarted, so I think it takes years to come out. So I think Guild Wars 3 is actually a really good starting position. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the currency video, Haldir. Please watch it. Yeah, it's important. You know, since I'm a new generation player, I feel like that Guild Wars version will be for my generation, not only veterans. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It is like for new players as well. Awesome. Yeah. When people say now Guild Wars 3 is announced, you don't want to play Guild Wars 2, what is their concern? Whatever they achieve in Guild Wars 2 will be obsolete. Yeah, I don't get it either. I think you can still have fun and the game will never be deleted or anything. You can just continue playing. I guess it's just the fear of missing out because the other people play the more modern game, but I'm not really sure. Not really sure there either. Yeah. Yeah. Are you playing games for permanence? Guild Wars 2 will never go away. Exactly. I'm with you there. I think it's a bit weird to say like, oh, it's I'm losing my progress. You're not losing your progress. It's still there. So I think it's like, I can understand that people are like frightened of like being not updated anymore that much, but I think that will not be the case. So yeah, I can definitely see that. My opinion was the idea that they will develop Guild Wars 2 as the traditional MMO with raids and events catered to the older audience, while Guild Wars 3 is the attempt at a more fast-paced action RPG, getting into content quicker to attract younger players into the Guild Wars franchise. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like what they are doing pretty much, yeah. Yeah. My fear is that I'll it will turn out to be more of a single-player online game with optional co-op and lobby and not a real MMO. It could be. We don't know enough about it yet to make some assumptions there. We will have to see. Yeah, we have to see. Have you realized in the trailer that the mount at the start has blue color around the claws and also the same color of the person running up the cliffs? Yeah, I think you can like see a lot of really cool like things with the mount and stuff. I think the mount is pretty. It's, to me, it sounds like this mount is very like twisted. No, not twisted. Intertwined with your character. I think that sounds like you are getting very, very much like close to this. It's like almost your character as well, the mount. I'm pretty like happy with this. Yeah. I would say. Like, it looks very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Guild Wars 3 will be a prequel. Yes, it plays in Ur probably like hundreds, even maybe 1,000 years before Guild Wars 2. Yeah, so it will be a prequel. Yes, yes, yes. I think ArenaNet have learned from previous mistakes. They admitted that they should have continued developing Guild Wars 1 instead of putting it into maintenance modes. Exactly. I think they will not make this Guild Wars 2 mistake. Like, the Guild Wars 2 will be continuously developed. There will not be a downtime at all. Yeah, I would say so. And it will be an MMO RPG, exactly like Mo puts it. Yes, yes, yes. I hope they will make meta and world events the same as in Guild Wars 2. I don't know a single other game that does overworld content this good. I just love to follow meta trends. I think that is one of the things that I'm not really sure about. It does not seem to be like that open world, large scale focused in terms of like 50 players on the same map playing together to fight a boss. That is, I did not get that from the trailer. I did not get that from the words, the snippets of text that we have. Maybe it's just not written there, but for me it seems more like some kind of smaller based game, more like fast paced. And if you want the large scale open world fights, world versus world stuff, you go into Guild Wars 2. I'm pretty sure that's how it looks like to me. Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of scared of the idea of Guild Wars 3, since I, like many others, I would assume, hate the idea of losing Guild Wars 2. But since yesterday, I've been very excited to see what 3 will look like. I would love to see both games that coexist. Yeah, exactly. Me too, for sure, for sure. It is like looking pretty positive for me, the future, bright future, so to say. Yeah. Hear me out. We are going to get Mistbound events similar to Seasons of the Dragons to live every part of the Guild Wars universe. Something that would take a long time to finish, and in the end, we are going to get a legendary that can be bound to Hall of Monuments and would also have give a cosmetic effect for 3. Yeah, I mean, that sounds quite likely. Yeah, something like this in this direction. Yeah, why not? Why not? What if they announced another Guild Wars 2 expansion today? That would be insane. It could be, yeah. Mistbound, either expansion or Living World season. That is my guess there. Hall of Monuments with Mistbound coming today. Yeah, in like 5 hours. Yeah. Yeah. That is my assessment there. Do you think it will be action combat like New World? Yes, it will be very action combat heavy, for sure. Very, very action combat. Yeah. There will be wall running, exactly. There will be wall running and probably some really cool jumping puzzles as well with that, for sure. I'm not the biggest jumping puzzle enjoyer, but that will be fun, for sure. I think there's a chance we get small expansions for Guild Wars 1 and 2 with all Hall of Monuments linked to Guild Wars 3. Yes. Like I said earlier, I think I'm a little bit concerned about the marketing there, because if you make a new expansion for Guild Wars 2, let's just say Guild Wars 2 now, and the expansion would cost like, I don't know, $20. And you would have to purchase this expansion to get Hall of Monuments features for Guild Wars 3. Wouldn't that be like very greedy and anti-consumer friendly to make an expansion that you need to get some kind of feature in a new game that you also have to pay for? Wouldn't that be like you get like monetized twice? So I think it's more likely that at this point I'm saying that Mistbound is actually a Living World season. Something that you have to log in consistently to get the Hall of Monuments achievements, but you at the same time get it for free. I think that makes more sense to me as a consumer player. Maybe I'm completely coping there, but I think that sounds more reasonable. Yeah. I don't know. We will have to see. We have to see. Only time I do jumping puzzles is if someone parked it there and I can teleport a friend. Yes, I'm with you there, Jolly Man. I'm with you there. It's the same as buying Eye of the North for Guild Wars 1, not an issue. People want it. I guess you're right. I guess that was the same back then. Maybe. I would pay for it, you know, don't get me wrong here. I would pay for it, but I could see this argument. I'm always trying to see the big picture and some arguments against it. And that maybe they will announce the expansion and everyone is hyped about it. But I think if you do it well, you don't necessarily even have to make it an expansion where you have to pay for, I would say. Yeah. Yeah. The new Hall of Monuments could also be implemented like the Wizards Vault. Sure, I would like that as well. Like some kind of consistently, you have to play consistently to get all of the features, you know? Every single week you get some new achievements, some new things to go for, so that players keep actively playing Guild Wars 2 and until Guild Wars 3 beta comes out. I think that would be really good. Like you should not drop an expansion or whatever it is, and then you can do the achievements in like 2 weeks and then you're out. No, I think it should be something that keeps the players engaged for a longer period of time. For sure, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess, do we forgive him for Jala Delves and Barbanivus? I would say so. Like, you know, if you keep in mind, they have been developing the like Guild Wars 3 in the last 5 years. And that was already when Jala Delves, Chanterval, Soto came out. So I think it's like, I would forgive them that like, if the like a big chunk of the team is working on another game in the background, it's fine that we get content that is not as good as if the whole team is working on it. I maybe I'm just too generous there, but I think that is something that like is definitely like something on my mind. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there might be a Hall of Monuments for all the games, like Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 2, and Guild Wars 3. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Maybe I have to play Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 1 on stream here as well. You never played it? Maybe that's the way to get some Hall of Monument progress as well. That would be fun. I would play it, even though I like Guild Wars 2 better from the combat. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Darkbringer, they are like awesomeness. They're all like part of the 3 team, I think. Like, and I think the balance team is also, of course, involved in the 3 like development and balance. So I'm excited to hear some more details about that in the future. Yeah. I mean, forgiving is a big word, but there are a bunch of clumsy, weird mistakes that I just don't understand. That they should have anything to do with time investment, but with the decision process inside the studio, yes, I'm with you there 100%. Like, I think, Haldir, you're completely correct. I think, like, there are so many mistakes or things that they did in the past that were just not good. Like full stop. Like, you cannot excuse them. And they should have done it better. Like, they should have done like more, like thought about it and communicated better, whatever, yeah? And I hope they learned out of those mistakes. Even though you can still say they are big mistakes, I hope they learned something from it. And then that will make Guild Wars 3 a better game, or the future of Guild Wars 2 and 1 as well. That is my hope. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. See the recent meta, the recent story end, the part is great. The parts are great. It's just that they are badly concluded. Yeah, exactly. Like, there are things that are still not optimized with this whole system. Like, I think if they would have done the story better and make an end boss for the meta, this would be probably the best living, like, not living world, but the best quarterly patch we've ever gotten. And now it feels a little bit like it has the last piece is missing. And I think that's really sad. So I hope the last quarterly patch that we get with Visions of Eternity is the perfect one. Like, challenge mode for fractals, fractal, convergences, a raid boss, legendary challenge mode, open world map, story, legendary, relics. You see, like, there's so much stuff coming. I hope this is like the thing where we like say, oh my god, that's the best quarterly patch ever. And it's perfect. That is my hope there, that they learned from all the mistakes they did earlier. But again, maybe it's now too late after years of making some mistakes in that regard. Yeah, fair. Yeah. Never played the original Guild Wars, but I would be cool to see the Hall of Monuments stuff from the first game carry over all the way to the third. Yeah, I agree. That would be really good. The Hall of Monuments would be a big goal then, yeah, for sure. I like that. Like, I hope they go really hard on the Hall of Monuments. Really, really hard. Yeah. Yeah, there could be another timeline. It does not necessarily have to be a time travel or something. It could be a big, like just timeline difference, yeah, and not necessarily something that is focused on like time travel. It's just creating a different timeline that is separate from the Guild Wars 2, so we can have story that is actually never like told because it never unfolded in our timeline. Could happen. I'm not too much into story, so I don't know what is the most realistic scenario, but I think that Vlogs could have something to do with it as well, with the Visions of Eternity expansion, for sure. Do you think anything in Guild Wars 3 could affect what happens in Guild Wars 2? No, I don't think so. I think that they will want to have it separate. I don't see a reason that ArenaNet says, okay, we now make content for Guild Wars 2 that is like specifically tailor-made for stuff that happened in Guild Wars 3. I think that is, I don't know, I don't see that happening. I think the ArenaNet is pretty much like they want to make it so that like any player starts with the game that they want to play, that they are willing to like experience the story without having to like go through all the games. I think that maybe there are some small connections, but nothing big. I don't see that. Yeah. Welcome, sis. Welcome. would have been kind of perfect if Guild Wars 3 was what happens after Phlox reshapes the world. Exactly. Like, I think it's quite realistic that Phlox in the story causes some kind of like fracture or something, like tear in the mists, and creates a new reality, yeah, and new timeline. And then we play in this Guild Wars 3 reality in Guild Wars 3, and the Guild Wars 2 reality continues developing in Guild Wars 2. That is what I see realistic. Yeah, and going back to Ore in this new timeline from like the Phlox event would be quite realistic. Yeah. Asura bringing worldwide apocalypse 100% accurate lore. I mean, why not? You know, I'm hyped about that. You know, that would be interesting for sure. Yeah, would be interesting. So wait, what was the theory here? I want to get the theory going as well. It sounded interesting. Yeah, what's the story? Maybe we get a Hall of Monuments with a bigger goal than the old one, but you can decide how much Guild Wars 1 points and how much Guild Wars 2 points you want to bring in. Then people do not have to do everything they can, but can decide partly. Yeah, I hope it's some kind of like part decision that you know, I think Hall of Monuments in Guild Wars 1, you can see I have not done any Hall of Monuments achievements. Where are they? General Hall of Monuments. I've not done any of them, but it means you have to earn certain amount of points. And in Guild Wars 1, you can earn those points like from certain things. But I think it would be awesome if you, for example, included some, let's say, facet of Prism and Boundless Night. It's a title that not a lot of people have. It's very time-intensive, very gold-intensive title. That would give you some progress. But at the same time, you would also get progress for having Guild Wars 1 achievements. You would get progress for having certain legendaries in Guild Wars 2. Just some things that are somewhat easier, some things that are somewhat harder, like legendary challenge modes, maybe winning a monthly AT. All of that would progress the Hall of Monuments, but you don't have to do all of them. More like a meta event, meta achievement, you know? Like, for example, Visions of Eternity achievement, you know? You have a lot of achievements here. You need 36 to complete it, but you have like 40, 50 achievements, and you can complete whatever suits you best, what you think is the best way for you to achieve that, and the most fun way. I think that would be the best way of making Hall of Monuments interesting to new players as well. Because if you bind it to achievement points or something like that, I think that will be like more of a chore for new players than anything else. So I think if you include it pretty well, I think that would be way more exciting than most things or most ways to do it. Yeah, we don't have Char, I think. It's looking like Asura, maybe Kodan, and maybe humans. Maybe Norn as well, but I think it doesn't look like we... pretty sure we don't get Sylvari, and maybe no Char as well. Yeah, maybe ArenaNet points or something, like you just... however they are called, like some kind of achievement points across game. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'll absolutely miss my Sylvari. Yeah, I think Sylvari is a bit sad to see go, because I think that was a really unique selling point. I think if you look at new players joining from other MMOs, a lot of times they actually choose Sylvari because it's something that is not, like, you don't see that. A plant race is not very common in other MMOs. So that's a little bit sad, but I think it doesn't make sense with the lore if you're going back in time. Sylvari were just not born there. So, yeah. Either way, I think it's like, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. I just love that we actually get a new game and not WoW Final Fantasy XIV stagnation endlessly. Worth the risk, in my opinion. New game, paint, and first-time login vibes awaits in a year or two. Exactly. I'm looking forward. Like, I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to fall 2027. Like, when the beta launches and I'm hopefully in there, I will probably like grind, like, I don't know, all the time, like on stream, and like just play a lot of the beta event all the time. It will be probably like, will be awesome. And then when the game drops, I hopefully have enough of a grasp to actually instantly like make guides about it, make content about it, have fun playing it, learning new stuff on stream. That will be awesome. Like, I think that is something that I'm really missing in Guild Wars 2, this like learning experience, this like, just like we have fun together. We don't know everything about like the game yet. I think that is like exactly what I'm looking forward to. Yeah, for sure. Welcome, Verlet. Welcome. Yeah, maybe there's some other kind of salad. Maybe. Who knows? I don't see it, but who knows? We don't know the playable races yet. Yeah. My friend couldn't play Guild Wars 2 with me since he's only on console. Now it's perfect. Yeah, exactly. That's the good part. That's the good part. I'm not sure if Xbox will be included. I think like PS5 is like guaranteed. Xbox they have not mentioned, so I don't think so. Yeah. The multi-platform aspect is pretty like good in terms of like player base and target audience. I think if they execute it well, I also think it has almost no negatives. But if it has negatives, then I would be a bit concerned. I don't want to have my game being worse than it needs to be just because they want to have a bigger player base. That is my big hope there. The minion monster? Oh, there's 2 minion monsters. I was wondering, like, why are there so many minions there? Not even sure if I can win this. Like, it's just too much. I better play it safe. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I cannot win this. Minion monsters, 2 minion monsters, too much for me. Okay. I guess they are like semi-AFK and waiting for the harpy to spawn. Weird, yeah. I'm already excited enough for Guild Wars 3 because I love looking at ruins and wondering how the places were in the Prime, and that's kind of exactly what we are getting. Yeah, I'm really like hyped about it as well, yeah. It's really cool because I'm not really into story, but I like to like speculate about what they're actually going for, and I think that's looking exactly like what they're going for, like going back to Ore and seeing the prime time of Ore. Awesome, yeah. But I think altering the past should also have effect on Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2 story. Yeah, I think if you go back in time and stay in the same timeline, you would want to have some kind of like story being like altered. But I think if you go for a different timeline, which is the more reasonable way to do it, first, because I think you don't have to influence the timeline of already existing Guild Wars 2 with like story that happens in Guild Wars 3. But at the same time, I think it's also important to understand that like you don't want to have a story, in my opinion, that is, so to say, you know where it ends. I think that's pretty boring. I think it's more exciting to see a different timeline where you might have, for example, the gods not leaving Tyria, and you have actually the gods staying there, and you have like more development with the gods instead of what happened with Guild Wars 2 storyline. Maybe, yeah, that is my prediction. I think the Guild Wars 2 announcement today will be the future of Guild Wars 2, maybe new expansion, maybe Hall of Monuments, and maybe Living World. Those 3 things will, one of those, maybe 2 of those will happen. Yeah, Mistbound, that's probably what I would say is called. That's what I see there, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's like Guild Wars 3 was like, let's say 2 years ago, people already rumored about it. And over the course of time, it became more popular, this rumor. But even like big content creators like T-Bot and other creators were a bit doubtful in the beginning. But if you get more proof, I made a video like a year ago where I showed the proof and showed, yeah, they are working on the game. You don't believe me, but here's proof. And like over the course of time, more people got onto this train. And now like it's like confirmed. So we were never really wrong at this point. So that's really cool that we are like, so to say, like we deducted the correct things there. I'm not like, I was not the guy. I was just reading people that actually deduct things. I was not saying I did anything there. But yeah, just really cool. Really cool. Yeah. What I hated is how people kept saying there's no evidence. Yeah, I think it's like people always doubt us if it's not what they like. You know, if they don't like playing a new game, then they say they don't see the proof, and I think that's fine. But now they have the proof. You know, the official announcement should be proof enough. You know, now there should be no one doubting it anymore. So I guess that's enough for me. Yeah. Welcome, Shadens. Welcome. I'm so hyped as well. That's good. Very good. There's enough time for tons of stories with the gods, considering how far back they go. Yeah, exactly. I think the god stories are probably their main focus. The gods, the spirits of the wild, or whatever they are called as well. In Ore, I think that looks exactly what we are getting. Like 100%. Yeah, I'm really hyped about it for sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think exactly. Like I have to be honest, like it's really important that I'm not a store. Like I have to be honest. Like one of the things that I'm the least excited about Guild Wars 2 is the story. Like I don't play the game for story. But talking about the story with you guys now makes me actually really excited about what's happening in Guild Wars 3 in the story. because it's such a cool, unique setting, and with the different timeline, I might actually be into story after all. You know, who knows? I might change my whole character for that. Yeah. Yeah. People flamed us for speculating Guild Wars 3. It wasn't baseless speculation. Exactly. They ignored all the evidence we pointed out. Yeah, exactly. 100%. I'm with you there. And that's just how it goes, I guess, in the internet all the time. Welcome, Hope. Welcome. I think I missed some details. Is Guild Wars 3 coming? Yes, it is. Yes. You can always check out my video where I summed up all the information. And yeah, it's coming. We have really good news about all of it. And we will get some news later today about Guild Wars 2's future, maybe Hall of Monuments, stuff like that, in like only 5 hours. And yeah, looking really, really like happy days, so to say. Yeah. I don't think it's an MMO extraction shooter. I think that sounds a bit too much like off. I don't think the ArenaNet is doing some kind of extraction shooter. If you're really looking for that, I think you have to go to a different game. Yeah. Well, the arrogance came through years of disappointment. Yeah, that is fair, Held. Yeah, I think that they have a point there, but like seeing like, I don't know, 100 job listings, people for an unannounced project in Unreal Engine 5 is pretty telling to me. Yeah. Called cynicism. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, they hinted at something as well. Yeah. You just have to have a look into the story of Tyra, then it gets more and more interesting. Then you can also speculate more. Yeah, maybe that's, you know, that's the new Syrma, you know, talking about not only about features, about builds, but maybe going into story, you know, going all in and maybe like actually getting hyped about bears talking for once. Probably not, but you know, a guy can dream, you know? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, glad to hear that, Hope, glad to hear that. Would you help the community with Hall of Monuments and tell the best way to do it? I mean, of course, yeah, I would always like to do that for sure. I think that's great. Yeah, great thing to do. Yeah. Yeah. More political focused story. I think that could be happening with OR. Like we saw that a little bit with like Living World Season 3 and Cordecos and the humans. I think now focusing more on the humans with the gods. Yeah, I think there could be politics coming in. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The thing is, disappointment is relatable. Cynicism is just not healthy for yourself. That is fair. Fair point. Fair point. Imagine that. Yeah, imagine like Syrma being hyped about bears talking and not being cynic about it. Yeah, that will be exciting times. Exciting times. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think like Hall of Monuments is coming pretty soon, but I think like Guild Wars 3 is pretty far out, so don't like be too like hyped about anything like with regards to the story and playing it and stuff. It is still time, you know, it's like there's still a lot of time, and I think in this time they will bridge it pretty well. I think 2 years, 1.5 years until the beta launches, so I think it's pretty, I would say it's pretty likely that they will give us like every month or something some news about it, and getting closer to the beta, they will give us more features. In the beginning, a bit more of the story. Because story is easier to tell than features, because features develop over time. So I think I'm like really excited about the news, and I will cover that here on my channel all the time. And will like, hopefully, as soon as something new drops, I will talk about it and give you my take in it, and hopefully share your opinion with me as well. So I like, this is something that I really like love to do. So hopefully we get that. I really hope the marketing department is like stepping up in ArenaNet. And I think they did in the last half a year. I think they did a great job with marketing, I would say. Yeah. Yeah. Any idea what the announcement today would be about? Nice. Thanks for the bits. 200 bits. I'm Chen Ball. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the builds. Yeah, more builds coming, of course. And thanks for the support. Thanks for the support. Yeah, we have probably more builds coming, of course, for Guild Wars 2. We will do Guild Wars 3 builds in the future when it comes out, but I will cover news and everything as well. So a lot of stuff to cover, and hopefully like builds will not get like shortened at all. Yeah, thanks for the support. Yeah, Balthasar would be back. Yeah, exactly. You know, we killed it in Guild Wars 2, like, and now it's back. Yeah, maybe. Probably. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. What if it's not from the past or future, but it's in a different realm? It could be as well. Like, I think it's unrealistic because they already teasered OR, but who knows? You know, I don't know what the story is about. Maybe the story people, the story developers have a completely different, like, idea in mind. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah. Are we excited for controller combat? I think, Caspi, we are concerned that it might negatively impact PC combat. But I think if they implement it well, we can see that with Final Fantasy XIV, which does it pretty well. If if the developers play the game and know what the problems are with developing like content for controller and keyboard at the same time, and they take care of that, I actually think they can make it work. I will, before I give you my final judgment, I will say I have to wait until they give me more information. You know, for now I'm concerned, but not like, so to say, completely sad about it. I think it's like bigger player base means more players, means more active content and more money for them. I think that's good for all of us if the content is good enough in terms of like optimized and like the combat is fun and snappy enough. I don't have a problem with controller at all. I think they just have to implement it well. Yeah. One thing that I wonder is, however, actually, or from before, or whether it's something that Vlogs did to record reality. It could be some different timeline or something like that for sure. We have to see. Like I said, I'm not into story that much. I cannot tell you. And we also don't know it yet. That's the main part for sure. Since Guild Wars 3 is going to be more like Guild Wars 1, do you think there will be builds like the 55 monk? I mean, I don't even know if there will be classes, so I cannot make any prediction about builds yet. But maybe, you know, seems likely that they are into build crafting. They said build crafting is a main aspect, so it's probably quite likely that they are going for some crazy build content as well that might be as crazy as like 55 HP monks, for sure. Do you think Guild Wars 3 will have anything similar to World vs. World? I don't think so. I think they would have teased us that. Like, I think it's more like single player and more smaller groups, like 4-player groups. I don't see a big World vs. World yet. Maybe they just haven't teased it yet. Could also be the case. But I think they actually want to differentiate it from Guild Wars 2. And Guild Wars 2 does World vs. World pretty well. So I think they might actually say, yep, that's a different game for us. Yeah. I was quite cynical upon seeing the announcement last night, but now I'm more optimistic. I've burned my sequels to my favorite games since I was a young child. I'll never forgive Disney for what they did to Club Penguin. Yeah, I mean, I think like taking a little bit of like stepping back and thinking about the announcement and the positive about it is a good thing. Yeah, so I'm happy that you can now also see a bit more positive. And I think that goes for all of you. Like, I think if you're negative about it, don't be too negative about it all the time. Maybe step a bit back and think about it again. Maybe let's wait for some more news about it, and maybe you get more positive over the course of time as well. I think that's quite important. Final Fantasy XIV controller is poggies, good, but be able to get so many skills done well that play half the time from sofa with controller, half on keyboard, and it had like 3 times 10 skills or more on some classes. Yeah, I think it's not for everybody, and I think they have to do it well. Thanks a lot, Kansa Ping. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the Prime. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going, the hype. But yeah, I think like controller in Final Fantasy XIV is done really well, but they have a lot of skills, and I think you have to find a middle ground there. I think Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft do it like have really a lot of skills and they're tap target. But in an action combat game, you have to make controller like well at the same time as keyboard while making combos, while making positioning and build crafting matter. I think there are a lot of things to take like care, and I really want to get my hands on the beta and play it, you know, and see how it works, how fun it is, how snappy it is, because that is for me the aspect, you know. If it's fun, I will play it. If it's like looking good in a trailer, I don't know, you know, I cannot draw any conclusions from that. The trailer can be as good as it be, the best trailer ever. If the combat is not fun to me, the game is not good, and I really hope they nailed it. That's the only like concern that I have, and I think they're good at it. I think ArenaNet is good at making good combat. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most, yeah. I think PvP might be in there. Like, I think Push might be the precursor to something they tried with Guild Wars 2 and will maybe implement in Guild Wars 3 as PvP. Because that's exactly the small scale PvP that you could more imagine in a game that is more focused on smaller scale than this large scale 50 versus 50 World versus World. I would say that's more like it. Yeah, exactly, like New World combat on console. Yeah, exactly. Being more single-player co-op lobby focused is exactly why they shouldn't market as an MMO Guild Wars 3. That's pretty misleading. I'm not sure. We will have to see. We don't know enough about it yet to actually tell us like if it's misleading, if it's not misleading. We have to wait and see. That's the important part. You should not make decisions about stuff like that before you know anything about it. Trailer is nice and all, but it's not very telling in terms of what the game is actually looking like. And I think that's really important. I really want to stress that. Don't make decisions if you like the game or not on a like cinematic trailer. Yeah, it's obviously in the game. It's in-game footage, early in-game footage, but still, it does not tell you anything about the actual game. It's just a trailer after all. Is it possible to play with mouse and keyboard on PlayStation? Good question. I think it should be. Yeah. Yes, Patricia, I read your mind. Yeah, very good. Good job. Thanks. Thanks for thinking about it, I guess. Yeah, I guess skill systems will not be completely different from Guild Wars 1 and 2, at least having trade lines and choosable skills. I really don't know. You know, I could make guesses there, but it would be just guesses. I have no educated guesses to make here because we have nothing to go on. But I think if they say they want to make Guild Wars heavy build crafting possible, I think there will be skills. I think there will be some passive effects like traits, like something like this, skill trees, whatever you want to call it. I think that will be the case. How exactly it will play out, how you will interact with each other, if you have classes, if you have different weapons, or if that's some mixture of all of that, we have to see. Yeah. You have to see. Yeah. I'm interested if it's going Holy Trinity or everyone is self-sustained. I think it depends heavily what the goal is. If it's like very focused on like, let's say dungeons or like 4-player instance content, then I think Trinity makes sense. If you focus more on like solo exploration and stuff like that, and you can easily swap classes or like, for example, imagine like a world where you can equip a weapon and that changes your class. Something similar to Final Fantasy. If that would be the case, then I think Holy Trinity is not necessary anymore because you are very focused on solo gameplay. I don't know, we will have to see if they tell us about it very soon or if we have to wait a bit longer for the features. But I'm excited either way, yeah. Yeah. But then again, it's time. This time the story might actually revolve around the actual guilds. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it revolves around gods and the guilds because it's during the Guild War times as far as I understand, and that's exactly what like people wanted, like the actual Guild Wars. Finally, we are actually in the story about that. Yeah, yeah. You know, it's kind of funny, people say Guild Wars 2 will die now, meanwhile streams have record-breaking viewership. Yeah, I think it's really funny, like people always like, oh my god, Guild Wars 2 is a dead game, like, and then you see like Reddit posts like, I'm a new player because I saw the announcement, how is Guild Wars 2, how can I start, and stuff like that. And then you see the streaming like numbers and stuff. People are so excited about it, and people like to like play the game, even though it's, so to say, will be at some point not the latest game anymore. But I think it's good. Like Guild Wars 2 is like alive and will be alive for the next 5 years to come. We will get the big announcement later today, and they will probably tell us the game will stay alive for the next 5-10 years, and even with updates and maybe even expansions. So yeah, I'm with you there, Tasha, for sure, for sure. If they go do a Guild Wars 1 skill build system, I can see the skill bar being 6 skills. Yeah, I think it will be more combo oriented, you know? Like in a lot of action games, you have like pressing one button does one thing. Pressing a second button does another thing. And if you do like them exactly after one another, you have a third attack. I think that's more likely than having like 10 skills or even like 30 skills like other MMOs have. I think it's more likely that it will be more combo oriented. Yeah. Yeah, I have read that it will be playable solo. And that makes sense. It's more modern. Yeah, for sure. I'm very curious about the skill collection unlock. Yeah, I think like features would be awesome, like bestiary, like customizable skill animations, like collections for skins, like titles, like a lot of things that you like might want to see in Guild Wars but are not there or not perfect, like dyeable weapons, dyeable stuff. I think that would be awesome. Like you can make so much happen in this game, especially because it's a very modern engine and like popular engine. I think you can make a lot of content very faster. It seems like they are going that route as well. Yeah. Yeah, I think it will be more MMO light than it will be a full-fledged MMO. I'm with you there, like for sure. Like it's not going to be a traditional MMO. I think that's the only thing we can say here. My guild was crashing out because several people left their static after Guild Wars 3 announcement. Oh no, that's not good. That's not good. Welcome, Dkip. Welcome, welcome. Which Living World season do I need to buy? Do I need all of them? I'm confused. So if you want to experience all of the game, sure, you need to buy all of the Living World seasons. They're currently 70% off, so it's huge value that you get there. But you should probably focus on like Living World season 3 and 4. Those are the most like impactful ones, give you the best maps, the best gold farms, the best story in my opinion. But all of them at some point you should actually invest time in if you're into story. Yeah. Aren't the auto attacks also like 3 different attacks for one skill? Yes, to some extent, but I think it's like, for me, in my opinion, like having a combo system in an action combat is exactly what I want. I want an action combat gameplay that focuses on like strategic skill use. So you press one button, then you to counter X attack. You press another button to counter Y attack. Yeah, and if you combo them together, you get a set attack that is actually really powerful. And I think that is a way more interesting system than having like 30 skills that you have to bind to all like different buttons. And it's also working way better with consoles and like keyboard like at the same time, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly, like Spear Thief to some extent. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For me, it's the possible story I'm interested. Yeah, the 1,000 Years in the Past is definitely some new story and not the Asura Magitech stuff that we have currently, for sure. My concern is potential lack of people for certain activities once 3 comes out. Some metas and achievements are already tricky to get done. Yeah, maybe, but it depends a bit on like how active they want to develop Guild Wars 2. If they continuously push out newer expansions, then I think you will have a healthy player base nonetheless. Because there will always be players that don't want to lose their progress or don't want to swap to a new game to start over fresh rather. And you also have some players that just don't like action combat, some players that don't like the graphics, some players that might not even be able to play the game because it has higher hardware requirements, whatever. I think all of that is something to consider. And I think Guild Wars 2 will stay alive for the next 10 years. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's not playing piano. I don't think it will be playing piano. I think it's more about using your buttons at the correct time, comboing together, than pressing like 30 different buttons. Yeah, I think piano is not happening in Guild Wars 3. Yeah. Abandoned themed class would be sick. Yeah, I think so. I think there will not be a lot of themed classes. Like that would be my take there. I think you have a lot of freedom there in the build crafting. From what it looks like, they would have told us, maybe not, about classes if they existed in a classic MMO way. I think they're more like innovative about classes. That is maybe my hope, but I think that's my impression for now as well. Yeah. I think there would be a raid scene in Guild Wars 3. Depends if there will be raids. We have to see. Yeah. Maybe there could be like a henchman expansion. Sure. If that would solve the issue in Guild Wars 2 to have more players, if you like, for example, instead of 50 players on a meta event, you have like just 10 players with 4 heroes each, and you can easily do the meta event then. Yeah, why not? You know, I think, I'm not sure if Guild Wars 2's engine supports that as well, but who knows? Yeah, I'm not like opposed to that idea. Yeah. I think there will be content for Guild Wars 3 and 2 at the same time, new content. I think that would be very unrealistic that ArenaNet puts out only content for one of the games and the other game is just like dying. I don't see that. Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, exactly. You cannot play piano really on a controller. That's the good thing. And that's why I see the action combat as the savior of people that don't like to play piano. And I think that might be a good thing for all types of players because it's a different playstyle. Yeah. But we will get 6 skills max slotted at the same time. We are switching from quantity to quality. Yeah, hopefully, maybe. Yeah, and combos, you can still make combos work, you know. I always bring up, but Black Desert, for example, does not have like insane amount of skills that you tie to certain skill, like keyboard skills, buttons. But at the same time, you have a lot of combos, and if you combo them, you get access to other skills. And I think that would be a really good system to make work on a controller or, of course, keyboard and mouse. Yeah. Call me crazy, but I think Guild Wars 3 will bring more players to Guild Wars 2 once it's released, and both games will thrive in the same way WoW and WoW Classic and OSS and RuneScape 3 are successful models for this kind of thing. Yeah, I hope so. I think that is my hope and my realistic somewhat expectation as well. Yeah. Yeah, there will be a video about the 6 PM announcement in Guild Wars 2 as well. Yes, don't worry. Yeah. We will see 0 classes, but skills based on classes, so you can pick and choose your skills in class. That would be great. I would like that a lot. I'd pay extra if we can theme those Guild Wars 2 henchmen. Yeah, that would be crazy good. Maybe they announce it today, you know? Get your hopes up for heroes coming to Guild Wars 2, you know? From the announcement trailer, description on YouTube, play solo or form a band of adventurers, forging impactful and enduring bonds with fellow players, a formative cast of memorable NPCs. Yeah, that sounds like NPCs that you can play with as well, right? Maybe it's in Guild Wars 3 then, yeah? Makes sense. More focused on passive traits and insane combinations through them. Yeah, I hope that the build crafting goes hard and really deep. Yeah. Maybe our guilds will be specific chapters of the big guild, and then it does not work out. That's why we have guilds in Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. Yeah, that would be really cool. I would like that. I really would like that. Sounds like a very fun concept. With all the guilds and all the like different lore with the gods. I really like the idea. Guild Wars 2 also has like skills that are 3-in-1 with phases. That is true. Yeah, I mean, I think you can take the best of both worlds, the best of Guild Wars 1 builds and best of Guild Wars 2 builds, and make them into Guild Wars 3 and make some really crazy cool, like, just really good content and really good, like, build crafting, theory crafting, just combat out of it. I think ArenaNet is pretty good at making good combat, and if you, like, use a popular engine and you have really good developers that are working with both games, or all 3 games actually, I see a really good future there, yeah. The release date is not out yet. We know it will happen in fall 2027. There will be a beta starting. We don't know when the release date is. The release date could be as early as like early 2028 or as late as 2029. I would guess it's somewhere in 2028, but that, yeah, it's just educated guessing at this point. Yeah. That was disappointing yesterday. They are making an action game for PlayStation, simple type builds, bringing in the console gamer edgelords. I mean, I think it's a different game for a different audience, not for everybody. If you don't like that, you can still play Guild Wars 2, and I think that's the beauty of it, because they want to keep Guild Wars 2 going. And if you have, so to say, like players being like focused too much on like always the newest game, then that's also not good. So I think if ArenaNet actually is willing to put in the effort and say, oh my god, we have a 1-on-1 against the core thief with a thief relic. Oh, it's a big role-playing guy. So let's see if we can get the 1-on-1 here. Thief relic is always like, what? So give me a second and I can talk again. I just want to... Did I get him? Not sure. No, almost. Almost. Not yet. Classic thief gameplay. Losing the 1-on-1 and then running away. It's fine. I will re-engage in a second, hopefully. Just one though. Oh no. Yeah, that was a good Gale. Yeah, that's a good shadow refuge against my build. I have not a lot of stuff to play against. Like against this like AoE. I have almost no AoE attacks to counter that. Oh my god. Perma dodging. Now we got him. Finally. So let's get the stomp. And let's leave. Very good. That was annoying. We did it. I completely lost my train of thought, but that's okay. That's okay. Is the 400 gem upgraded backslot expansion worth it in your opinion? I would say if you need both of the items in there, yes. If you need only one of them, highly doubtful. Yeah, I would say for players that are in dire need of like getting a backslot, yes, but you cannot upgrade this 28 backslot into a 31 as far as I know. So it's like good, but not like insanely good. You have to imagine this is like worth like 100 gold, something like this. So it's pretty valuable, but it's not like giga value. So I would say yes, for most players, it's worth it. But for me, for example, it would not be worth it because I would either go all the way or not do it at all. Yeah. Honestly, I personally love Visions of Eternity. And if this is the quality going forward, I'm absolutely fine with the future of Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Visions of Eternity is a really good expansion. All the expensive infusions and prices will crash as Guild Wars 3 comes closer? I don't know. I'm not sure if the prices will crash. I cannot tell you about the economy and what they are announcing and stuff. We will see. Yeah. He's doing well for a non-gang core thief. Yeah, it's actually pretty surprising. Yeah. Yeah. Did you already see the concept art of the market? You can see some characters in a little more detail. Yeah, I think the concept art looks really good. Like in general, I think like I really like the art style. I think it grows on me over the course of time. So I think I'm pretty convinced that I will like the game already, even though I don't know much about the features yet. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. already tried to think about stuff which could rise in price drastically after the announcement of Hall of Monuments. I think, I'm not sure, but you know, hear me out here. I think the Hall of Monuments will not include a lot of stuff that is currently in the game. So what do I mean by that? I think Hall of Monuments is good and all for players that play the game already. But I think they want to make the Hall of Monuments also a reason to purchase Guild Wars 2 for new players that are now, they heard Guild Wars 3 announcement. And they think like, oh my god, I want to jump into Guild Wars 2. And you don't do that by making a Hall of Monuments that like gives you rewards for like 40k, 50k achievement points, because a new player will not reach that in 2 years. Like no way. So in my opinion, it's more realistic that the Hall of Monuments will introduce things that are, so to say, achievements, something that you will get like exactly with the, like, where is it? Season of the Dragons. Where is this one? Side stories? Yeah, and here the return to achievements, yeah? I think this is more likely that you will do return to achievements for the Hall of Monuments, and you will, so to say, force the veterans and new players to go into a certain aspect of the game and play it and get then some progress, and not necessarily unlock this achievement, unlock this legend that it already is in the game. I think it's more likely that we will get less of a gold sink or something like that, more of something to play already in the game, but again, play it again for everybody. And that will encourage new players to join the game because they know there's currently a great time because all the veterans are playing the old content again as well. I think that is a smart way to do it, instead of making like big gold sinks or big like changes in the economy and new players are just like, why would I play the game now? I just don't get the Hall of Monuments unlocks anyway. Yeah, I guess that's my assessment there. Yeah. I left Guild Wars when Guild Wars 2 was announced. 2 weeks ago, I finally gave in about all the Guild Wars 2 with all the expansions. Now Guild Wars 3 is announced. Oh, Zulu, I feel you. But it's a good game, you know? It's a great game and you can still have a lot of fun. So try it. Don't give up. Yeah. I think it looks like a Harry Asura in the trailer, yeah? Viper, I'm not really sure what that actually is, yeah. The storyline is that we kill them all because they are Asura. No, I'm not sure. I think maybe that's before they went underground and they had a different look. Maybe they looked different and had a little bit of like a different, like, so to say, they had fur, maybe, you know? I don't know what the story there is, yeah. Guild Wars 1 Hall of Monuments was more or less about getting achievements and craft equipment. Yeah, exactly. Maybe. Would be boring if you could fill the Hall of Monuments just by trading and not playing the game. Exactly. I think it's like, maybe there are some gold sinks in there. I think they want to make legendaries worthwhile. I think it would be like a smart decision to include some legendaries in there so that you actually increase the value of legendaries again, so that like people actually engage with legendaries. But at the same time, I think it's rather unrealistic that ArenaNet says we only make people swipe, you know? It should be something that keeps people actually engaging with the game. And you can only engage with the game if you actually have something to do as a veteran other than farming gold. Because gold farming is not the most fun thing for most players. It's more of engaging, getting achievement, getting unlocks and stuff like that. And that's why I think the Hall of Monuments will be more focused towards actual gameplay than gold spent. Yeah. Would still be cool if Hall of Monuments would be 90% achievable by new players and the last 10% only for veterans. Yeah, I think it's if it's a mix like that you have like for new players you can achieve almost everything just by playing actively and having fun. And then the last few percent is like pretty hard. Like it's like, so to say, you get a standalone unique selling point in Guild Wars 3 if you played Guild Wars 2 really hard or Guild Wars 1 really try hard for a long time. You still get a little bit like the last couple of achievements, the last title or something is like for the real tryhards, the people that played a long time, the real veterans. It doesn't need to be crazy hard, it just needs something that rewards you for playing a game that you love for a decade. Yeah, I guess that could be something. But I would not be upset if that wouldn't be the case, even though I would be one of those guys. Yeah. Yeah. Like in Guild Wars 1 with the account-bound achievements or consuming titles, like the sweet eating. Yeah, that would be nice, something like that. Would be funny if it isn't a Sura and it's actually a Growl. I mean, maybe, you know, you never know what they're actually going for with the like races. But I think it's a Sura. Like, I would be very like surprised if it's something else than a Sura. I wonder if the Hall of Monuments will only include Guild Wars 2 or both Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. People who have Mere God Among Mortals wouldn't mind having it in Guild Wars 3. Yeah, I think it's quite likely that they will also include some kind of overarching Guild Wars 2 and 1 like achievements. I think that's the most likely scenario. I think it will focus more on Guild Wars 2 than Guild Wars 1 because Guild Wars 1 is just an older game. You don't want to force people that are looking for a more modern experience to play the oldest game possible. But I think they're actually... It's quite likely that there will be Guild Wars 1 in there as well. Do you think with the pretense of the gods, we'll get classic Guild War classes like Necromancer and Mesmer? I'm not even sure if we get classes as a whole, but I think if we get classes, I would be very, very surprised if we didn't get Necromancer. I think it's also quite likely that we get some kind of like, is it the Condi one or is it the power-based one? That was a bad teleport by this guy. I think it's now Condi, like what? Not sure. Yeah, I think like if there are classes, I think they are going with a lot of the core classes like Necromancer, maybe Mesmer, like Warrior. I think those seem realistic because they are just fan favorites. I don't think we will see, for example, Engineer. Like for all the Engineer choice, if there will be classes, I think Engineer is not the most likely scenario. That is my assessment there. Maybe I'm completely off there, but like I said, it could be like could not be like classes at all as well. We have to see. Yeah. See you, Haldir. See you. Thanks for joining. Have a great weekend. Yeah. Yeah. Did anyone else get counter vibes from the trailer music? I mean, it looked a bit like it as well. Like but it's definitely ore. You know, we know it's ore. So yeah, will be ore, I would guess. Yeah. I'm blown away. It seems like it's gonna be a 4-player dungeon style experience like Destiny. Yeah, I think that's the closest thing you have for now. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was fine. We had friends helping there. World vs. World will be so dead? I don't know. I think if that's not in Guild Wars 3 at all, I think people will still play Guild Wars 2, World vs. World. Yeah, I would say so. That's just my guess that Engineer wouldn't be there because it's like if it's focused on magic instead of like technology, Engineer doesn't make much sense, does it? You know, it's like focused on magic, you don't want to have an Engineer. But that's just my guess, you know. In Guild Wars 1 we also didn't have an Engineer class and we still got it in Guild Wars 2. So that is just my assessment. Yeah, maybe I'm completely off there and like they're just going for even more classes and maybe it's like you have like 20 classes or something. Who knows? We will have to see. You know, that is the beauty of like not knowing about something. You can speculate like crazy. Yeah. Guild Wars 2 will stay valid like Guild Wars 1 does. Yeah, don't worry. Guild Wars 2 is a very like popular game for a reason right now and it will stay popular in my opinion. I would be very surprised if that would change overnight. And it isn't. Yeah. Still worth buying the new expansion? I would say so. Like Guild Wars 2 is now more alive than it has been 24 hours ago. So like if you enjoy playing the game, if you enjoy what you're seeing, I would say buying the expansion is very much worth it to do, especially with the current like sales going on. It's very cheap to do so. And if you want to support my channel, you can also use my referral link, !buy in the Twitch chat. And yeah, I don't know. It's just really good time to play and start Guild Wars 2, especially with the Hall of Monuments announcement. Probably later today, we get some big reason to continue play Guild Wars 2 and just have fun with it. Yeah, I think it's a great time. Yeah. We'll have Warrior, Ranger, and Wizard. My guess it will get 2 big traits from each, so not a strict class locked system. Could be correct, Pirate. I think that seems likely, but we don't know enough to actually make any clear, educated guesses. It's just like what you could guess, but it's not like any proof of that. Yeah. If there are no massive open world PvE stuff like Guild Wars 2 and no World vs. World, then Guild Wars 2 will be extremely popular. Maybe still most played Guild Wars title. No, I think Guild Wars 3 will be more popular, but I think it will at least be staying popular enough to keep all the things active, because if there's no massive open world, that is a unique selling point of Guild Wars 2, but Guild Wars 3 will be the new game that everyone plays, and I think like outside of Guild Wars space, so to say, and I think that is like exactly what they're aiming for. Yeah. Yeah, I think Mesmer will be in Guild Wars 3 because it's a Guild Wars unique class. Yeah, I think so too. I hope so too. Welcome, Morty. Welcome. Nice to be back. Welcome. Yeah. I'm afraid it will be a PlayStation game first, more than a PC MMO. I don't think so. I think that would be stupid, and it would also not be like, I don't see it. You know, they are Guild Wars 2 and 1 is developed for PC. So why would they now switch it and say like it's for console first and PC is just a secondary thing? I don't see that. I get your fear, but I don't see it. There could be a lot of cool classes, like Dervish could be back, something like that we never had in Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I think that, like, I think the mage could be like, you know, you only saw like 3 or 4 characters. Maybe there are just more classes. They couldn't fill all of them on screen. We don't know. We see what we get in the future. Yeah, exactly. Revenant, for example. Who knows? We don't know what. Well, Revenant is like not really like Revenant Engineer. They don't seem likely in the period of time in the story in the lore, but you never know. Maybe it's an alternate timeline. You know. Who knows? Maybe it's different. They have a different explanation. We will see. Yeah. Maybe like in Guild Wars 1 with the main class and subclass. I think not having a reason for multiple characters would be a huge loss in money. I think it depends how you implement it. If you implement it well and you only need one character, but you can expand a lot in like how you can grind gear, how you can expand your character's inventory and stuff, and then it could make sense to have only one class or one character, and you can use all classes on one character. But I think Guild Wars is very focused on like easy alt friendliness, so I think it makes sense to have different classes or different characters that you can play, because also different races and stuff. I don't know, we will have to see. Like I said, we don't know anything about the features, so we will have to wait and see. Yeah. Monk could be there, exactly. Monk is a good one. Yeah. Yeah. There's always a compromise between when a game is designed for console or mobile, even if it's so-called PC first game. Yeah, definitely. I think the UI will be different. I think the gameplay will be different. But I think for an action combat game, I think it's easier to do than for a tap target classic MMO, where you have 30 skills and console is just overloaded with so many skills. I would say so. If they don't want to cannibalize the Guild Wars 2 player base, I'm guessing they will make gameplay in 3 different enough. Exactly, and that's why I like making those educated guesses for the same reason. For sure. Yeah. So it should remain massive. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. MMO lights like Warframe, Destiny, like those games, they are also calling themselves MMOs, even though it's not massive. You know, if you play Destiny or Warframe, they are not like 50 or 100 players at the same combat, like typically. This is, I would say, not classified as a massively multiplayer online game anymore. It's more like an online game with co-op and stuff like that. So we will have to see what exactly they mean with that if we get more information there. Yeah. But we gotta remember the people who made Guild Wars 1 and 2 aren't there. At least most of the old Reds devs from that era. I think that's not completely true. And even if it's not true, even if it's true, I think they still have good talent and good new players, like new developers that were players before. You also have like people that actually have experience with Unreal Engine, which is really important because that's the engine that they're developing in. So I think there are a lot of reasons to believe that they are really focused on things like that as well and have really good like people working on the game. So I would not be too concerned. I think ArenaNet is a really like good game studio that existed for over 20 years, and they have really good people still, even if it's not necessarily all of the old devs, but they are still around, some of them at least. Some of them even came back for the Guild Wars 3 development. I'm not joking. So we will have to see. Yeah. Welcome, Caitlin. Welcome. Yeah, it's called MMORPG, exactly. Like, so what does that actually mean? Like, do they focus more on the RPG aspect, or do they focus more on the MMO aspect? And for me, it looks like they're focusing more on the RPG aspect, so the single player experience and the role play aspect, than they focus on the massive multiplayer online game. But we will have to see. Like I said, we don't know it. Yeah. If the game is going to be classless, I hope there will be purely physical classes and purely ranged classes too. That would be cool. I would like it. Welcome, we'll say it is. Welcome. Glad that you enjoy the hype. Hopefully I could hype you up as well. Yeah, exactly. 4-player instance, you know, that's very massive. But, you know, that's just the modern world, you know. I don't know. We will have to see what they're actually going to do. Yeah. Guild Wars 2 players in panic right now. Meanwhile, Guild Wars Reforged first time. I mean, we have to see. I think the panic is like natural. People always panic when there's a new announcement. But I think, to be honest, this announcement will actually more like make Guild Wars 1 and 2 thrive more than it actually has been like 24 hours ago. I would say so. Yeah. Maybe it's Clint. Yeah, that would be really fun if it's Clint the voiceover. That would be very fun. I really like this like thinking there. That's good. Very good. Yeah. Do you think the announcement will kill Guild Wars 2 or at least affect the sales interactions with the new expansion? No, I think it's like it will not kill Guild Wars 2. I think it will actually boost the sales. So currently, for the people that don't know, we will get an announcement in like 4 hours of what is happening in Guild Wars 2. What they will do in the next few months, years with Guild Wars 2. That is what we will get. Probably Hall of Monuments, maybe an expansion announcement, maybe Living World season announcement, stuff like that. And I think that will boost the expansion sales. I don't think they will kill the expansion sales. I think that's why they actually went with the sale this weekend, because they announced something where you want to have most of the expansions to actually experience all of the Hall of Monuments for Guild Wars 3. That is my prediction there. So yeah, now it's a good time to purchase the expansion in my opinion. But you can of course also wait a couple of hours and see what is actually happening. Yeah. Yeah. It is good for our game and the studio if they continue making good games. Exactly. That's you just want to have a studio thriving to make more good games. That's what we all hope for sure. Yeah. This is gonna definitely bring new players to Guild Wars 2 in my opinion. Welcome, Linus. Welcome. People will want to check it out before Guild Wars 3, see what the lore is about, and potentially build up their Hall of Monuments. Exactly. I think it's like making the game more alive. Like some veterans quit now, but I think there are more new players coming than veterans quitting. I might be a bit like coping there, but I think that is my opinion. Yeah. Yeah. Would like lower scope if it means multiplayer events are less of a circ and group composition and mainly incidental buff stacking. Yeah, I hope so too. Like it should be more like. You should think more about it. So if you have like this player with you, you can bring this attack instead of this attack. And it would be more interesting than just saying, yeah, we have all the boons all the time. We have like just all the healing all the time. And it does not really matter what we bring. I think I'm with you there. I think it's very important that you make a game that is focused on like more like action combat at the same time. Be also more about like interactions within like those smaller groups of players. I think that is very, very important, because if you make some like just you always bring a warrior, always bring a ranger if there are classes and a mage, and you take the same skills all the time, that's pretty boring. If you adjust to the combat with certain skills, with certain composition combos, whatever, I think that's way more interesting. Yeah, 100% with you there. Welcome, Clubs Glober. Welcome. Hope that Guild Wars 3 will also be different like Guild Wars 2 was to Guild Wars 1. Yeah, I think it's very likely. It looks already like that. And I think it would be very surprising if it wouldn't be like that. Like, I would be very surprised. Yeah. I've got all the Guild Wars 2 expansions, but upgrades are all on sale too. Bank taps and, yeah, the bank taps, like especially bank taps, if you have some gems lying around, bank taps and character slot expansions, they are pretty valuable. Where is it? Pretty valuable to get, so, and of course like silver fat and stuff. So I have a full like tier list about what is good in the gem store, but with the current sales, I think like bag slot expansions and bank slot expansions, they are even character slots, they are really good. Like I would like recommend to get that if you have some gems lying around. It's not something I would recommend for everybody, because keep in mind the exchange rate is also really high right now. So you might actually pay the same price, maybe even more than normal, if you now convert gold into gems. So keep that in mind. But if you have some gems lying around, the sales are pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Did they say hint anything about PvP in Guild Wars 3 yet? No, we don't know anything about PvP. Like there are guilds mentioned and guilds fighting, clashing, but that does not mean anything. That could just be the story. Could be PvE only, could be world versus world or PvP. Who knows? We will have to see. Yeah, Guild Wars 3 seems to be a little bit like Monster Hunter, like in this direction. Yeah, a little bit for sure. We'll have a new Guild Wars 2 stream in 4 hours. They will be covering the future of Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. Not sure how they in depth they will go. Yeah, I think it's more about Guild Wars 2 than it's about Guild Wars 3. I would be very surprised if we get like big news drops of Guild Wars 3, but I will cover it everything. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. There's a gap in the MMO market. I think Arena will attract a lot of players from other MMOs since we don't have new good games in the genre. Exactly. They can be the #1 in the market. Yeah, I think that's the goal. That is the big goal for sure. Yeah, I'm still standing to the statement that we did last week or whenever you posted this. I'm seeing that for sure. If the combat pacing will be similar to a Souls game, Elden Ring, with fluidity of Guild Wars 2 combat, it will be the best combat ever. I'm just saying. Yeah, I think that's what they're aiming for. I think that's exactly what they're aiming for. Yeah. And that's good, because like shoot high to actually also like have high goals and actually achieve them is awesome. And like be ambitious. And I think Arena can do it. I think they can pull it off. I really think so. I really do think so. I wonder how they will implement World vs. World with the new combat system. I don't even know if there will be World vs. World. Like I have to be blunt here. I think like World vs. World is the cornerstone game mode. That's what they always tell us of Guild Wars 2. And making a new game that is focused more on like this MMO light experience where you have like only 4-player groups with like big large scale open world PvP seems to be for me like a bit of a paradoxon. So I think it's like the unique selling point of Guild Wars 2 is the large scale open world fights in PvP or in PvE. And I think that Guild Wars 3 is just a different type of game and that might not have that in there. Thanks a lot, really appreciate it, Ryan. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Thanks for the tier 1. Thanks for the support. Yeah, that is just my analysis there. Yeah, my analysis. Doesn't mean that it's correct. Bottom line, I won't say anything until I see actual gameplay. If Guild Wars 3 is gonna do it, it's all good. Meanwhile, we have the really hype upcoming MMO made by Riot Games. Yeah, maybe. Like, we will see. Like, I don't judge a game before I have not played it, but so far, what we know about Guild Wars 3, it looks great. Yeah. 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 Wonder if we go to a Holy Trinity, set up tank and healer DPS. I think it heavily depends on the class system, if they will implement it. If it is somewhat, so to say, a pretty heavy class locked system, I think they will go back to Holy Trinity. But I think if it's rather open, I think having a Holy Trinity is not really necessary. So if it's like you can swap freely between like a ranged attack and a mage attack and a tank attack, then I think you don't want a Holy Trinity in the first place. We will have to see. Like I said, we don't know enough about the combat at all to make some guesses there. There must be World vs. World in Guild Wars 3. I cannot live without it. I will make Manifesto into existence until we get news about it. You will see. I mean, who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe that's exactly what they're going for. It's definitely a strength of like ArenaNet making good like PvP large-scale fights. I think there are not many MMOs that actually do that as well as Guild Wars 2 does. Yeah. You have to see. You have to see. So far, it looks like High Guard plus Unreal 5 engine, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, if that's what you get from it, sure. I mean, for me, it looks like Breath of the Wild a bit from the art style with like really fluid combat and Guild Wars 2 story. And we will have to see what exactly on top of that. Yeah. Mistbound is the last expansion probably. If it's an expansion, it could be the last. But it could also be, so to say, the setup for next like trilogy of small yearly expansions that come out over the course of the next 3 years. Who knows? Honestly, the main reason why I'm hyped for this is not only a new MMO. You have plenty of new bad MMOs in the last 10 years that have disappointed players. It's a new MMO from a unit in Guild Wars franchise. They have demonstrated a lot of credibility in the last 12 years. Guild Wars 2 isn't perfect, but they listen to players. They have a pretty fair microtransaction model, and they've demonstrated they know how to make an MMO thrive. That's huge compared to other companies. Yeah. 100% with you there. Just second the statement. Very good summary, Linist. I think that's correct, yeah. Yes, there are drops happening on Twitch right now. Anyone know when we are getting more news about the game? Hyped for it? I think over the next few weeks. Like, Guild Wars 2 will get some news today in like 4 hours. I doubt we will get any Guild Wars 3 news today. Maybe some kind of teaser, but I think in the next few weeks we get some news about story, maybe about the setting, maybe about like some kind of other like features, but for now in the next weeks. Thanks a lot, really appreciate it. 80 proof, really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the prime. Let's keep the hype train going, guys. Let's keep it going. We're also hyped, even though I'm not playing at all here. I'm just talking about the game. You can see how hyped I am about like Guild Wars 3. So yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate the support. Let's keep the hype train going. Yeah. I don't think so that the Unreal 5 engine is a red flag. I know there are a lot of bad games with Unreal Engine 5 being made, but that is not necessarily the engine's fault. It's more like the fault of the developers not using all the tools that they have. I think ArenaNet is really good at using what they have because they are really good. They made their own engine. They make it look great. And I think the important part to notice is that if you have good developers producing a good game, the engine is just a tool to make this work. It's not guaranteed to have a bad game with Unreal Engine 5. Yeah, I think like the award-winning Claire Obscure from last year or this year is built on Unreal Engine 5. So you can make really good games. You know, it's just you have to have the developers that actually force it. That's the important part here. That is the important part. Yeah. Maybe I play Bears, you know. Maybe I'm playing Bears Smile. Yeah, for sure. Once Guild Wars 3 goes live, Guild Wars 2 will lose a lot of players, making meta events unplayable. I don't know. We will have to see. We will have to see. Thanks a lot, Liquid DNB. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the prime. Let's keep it going. We are also hyped. Nice. Thanks a lot for the support. Yeah. Do you see Guild Wars 3 possibly being instanced like Guild Wars 1? Yeah, I think like you haven't. My guess, like this is just an educated guess at this point. My guess is that you experience the open worlds somewhat alone, somewhat similar to where winds meet, you know, where you have like an open world experience and you see other players, but you don't really interact with them in like combat or something. And then you have the instances, which is like the story, the dungeons, whatever it is, that is the main focus of the game, where you play with other people together. Yeah, this is what I would guess. That is a bit scary here. That is very scary, actually. Maybe we got him here. And we didn't get them. That's a little bit sad, but oh my god. 2 power-based, like spear. What is the spear evoker and power-based troubadour? I mean, we could have killed one of them. Sad. Yeah, that is my guess. That is my guess. Main problem with Unreal 5 engine is a lot of games look the same because they use the same assets, but something like Guild Wars 3 probably wouldn't. Exactly, that's why Stylized is so good, because they have their own art style, they have their own assets, and they would never copy anything from other games other than their own games, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. I think like the instances would be very focused on like combat with allies and stuff like that, and the open world would probably be like, you can explore with friends if they're in your party, but you would not have like 50 players that you just kill a world boss with. I don't see that right now. Yeah, that's my analysis there. Yeah. I hope it's more like Guild Wars 2, to be honest. The spontaneous encounters in open world dynamic events is the game really shines. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, but who knows? I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong. That's just my assessments from the trailer, from this text snippets we have. Yeah. Do you have any information or rumors about another Hall of Monuments? I'm far from rich and losing all my legendaries, and the time I've spent to nothing kind of concerns me. I think like we will get some Hall of Monument announcement today. I would be extremely surprised if they wouldn't announce Hall of Monuments today. I have no insider information, so please don't like quote me on anything here. This is just my veteran experience of ArenaNet and the gameplay and stuff. I think in 4 hours, not even 4 hours, they will announce Hall of Monuments. And that will probably make Guild Wars 2 more popular than it has been in the last few years, because more people want to get the achievements, rewards, whatever, for Guild Wars 3. That is my guess, yeah. I watched your YouTube for ages, and this is the first time I've watched that Twitch for drops unmuted. Love your work. Likes. Really nice. Glad to hear that, Yusu. And I hope you're enjoying the stream as well. Yeah, that's the important part. You have to see what the modes are. Like, I really don't know what is actually going on with the game modes in Guild Wars 3, how it will be looking like, how like interacts with other players. We have to see. I think it will be able. You can play Guild Wars 3 probably solo, and I think that's the thing that you will notice. You can play with NPCs all the way, and you can have some really solo RPG experience. That's what I get the vibes of as well. Yeah. Don't know about the art style. The trailer seems extremely generic and nothing like other Guild Wars games. Hopefully they make it more unique the closer the game gets to release. I don't know. I think some people like it, some people hate it. I think that's normal. I guess for me it's all about the features, and that's not completely clear yet. Yeah. What is Hall of Monuments for the Uncultured? It's essentially like you can see that in Guild Wars 2. There is in the channel thing. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Thanks, nurses. Really appreciate the Prime. You have a Hall of Monuments, which is like achievements that you get for playing Guild Wars 1, getting some really tough things in Guild Wars 1 done, some really like ambitious things unlocked in Guild Wars 1 to get some titles, some skins, some like achievement points in Guild Wars 1. This is what the Hall of Monuments looks like. How it will look like in Guild Wars 3, if it will be there, we have to know in like 4 hours. We will get the information there, but this is what Hall of Monuments is supposed to be. Yeah. Honestly, Guild Wars 3 being instant would be good for Guild Wars 2 community who prefers open world. Exactly. That is the idea. Making the game different enough that people that only want to play open world play Guild Wars 2, only want to play instance content play Guild Wars 3. I think that makes sense. You don't want to split your player base, you want to extend the player base. That is what I see there. Yeah. Would you still recommend daily End of Dragons hero point for gold making? Why not? Yeah. I mean, it's obviously there are a lot of other ways to make gold, but I think it's not a bad way. Yeah, I would say so. You think Guild Wars 3 will replace Guild Wars 2? I mean, it depends what you mean with replace. It will be the newest like selling horse for ArenaNet, sure, when it comes out, and will be huge income and a lot of players, and it will have more players than Guild Wars 2 in my opinion. But I think it will not replace it in terms of like world versus world or in terms of PvP, in my opinion. It will not be replaced in open world meta events and stuff like that. I think it's a different game, and some people like Guild Wars 2 more, some people will like Guild Wars 3 more, and we have to wait and see what actually is happening. Yeah. Yeah. But I trust ArenaNet as well. I think so too. I see so. Listening to streams while doing World vs. World, so here in Guild Wars 3 chat while playing Guild Wars 2, some more Guild Wars in Guild Wars. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Guild Wars is like, right now, we had like yesterday, like big, like in OR, people had like did some commander text in the form of a Guild Wars 3 logo, stuff like that. There were really like a lot of hype people, and like I think it's like you can see how alive, how dedicated the community is to like having new games, having more like fun in the universe of Guild Wars and getting some new action and content going. Like I think a lot of players are really excited for it. Yeah. Yes, the drops are on. The drops are on. You just get them, exclamation mark drops, if you want to know how to get them. But essentially just watching any Guild Wars 2 streamer. Yeah. Realistically, if the beta is in 2027, do you think it will come out in 2028 or 2029? Sorry, my voice is breaking, but I think it realistically will come out in like probably spring 2028. That is my optimistic guess. I think like probably in August 2028, when there's the anniversary, I think that is probably the absolute best time to drop it. I would guess if you would have to pin me down, I would say August 2028 you can play it full-fledged in release. That is my guess there. Yeah. So as a Brazilian, one problem I see for the popularity is the hardware crisis in the world. Many people, included me, don't have a PC to play Guild Wars 3. Probably buy a new one to play. That is a good point. We have to see how that develops. Hopefully that will solve itself until Guild Wars 2 comes out and the economy is like recovering a bit. But I can see your point, and I don't know how to change that. I really don't know. Like, people want to have new games with good graphics, but at the same time you have the hardware crisis. I don't really know how to solve that. I really don't. You have to see. Yeah. You have to see. Yeah. Always happy to help. Always happy to help, Tonality. Yeah. Just ask and I will try to answer everything. That goes for everybody, of course. Yeah. Don't get too hyped for Guild Wars 2. It's also PS5. Guild Wars 3. It's also PS5 game. The console is objective garbage today. I don't know. I think they might be able to make it work. I think ArenaNet is really dedicated to their games and can put out a lot of good stuff just by playing and knowing about their game and their audience. I would not say it's like just not generalizing is here a good thing. Yeah, for sure. From how Colin spoke on stage, Guild Wars 3 will not compete at the same gameplay level as Guild Wars 2 or 1. Yeah, I think it's a different game. And it will be, for the better or the worse, a different game. Not everybody will like it. That's how it is. Needs to be a good cause. Riot's MMOs planned for 2013 at the latest. So they will have competition for new MMOs. I think competition is good. But I'm not sure if like ArenaNet and Riot's MMO are competing with each other, because like I said, Riot's MMO is probably coming later. And I think having competition is good. Like having only one like game makes it sluggish, and they might not be trying to incentivize themselves to get more innovations going and stuff like that. So having competition is probably good for the genre. And yeah, just good all around, I would say. Yeah. My prediction 2029 will be the release of Guild Wars 3 early to mid. Yeah, makes sense. Why not? We will see. Either way, I will cover it, play it, everything here on my channel for sure. Hope they keep things from MMO. I like seeing other players, hanging around with other players, meeting them in the wild. Yeah, I think it's like, if it's called MMO, they should also focus on stuff like that. They should not focus only on one thing. Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, for sure, for sure. The minimum specs on Steam are very low end. We will have to see. I mean, it's stylized and it's Unreal 5 engine, so it could be like lower entry points in the specs than a lot of other Unreal 5 engine games, because they are more like realistic and have better graphics than a stylized game. But I think it's all coming down to the performance and the execution of the game itself. Yeah, for sure. We will have to see. Yeah, they might adjust the minimal settings as well at some point. I do not really see a reason for them to have Guild Wars 3 like Guild Wars 1 or Guild Wars 2. If it was the same of the old games, people would play all three games. Less people would play all of the three games. Yeah, exactly. I think it's more realistic that it's a completely different game for the better or the worse. Some people will hate it because it's different and they can play Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 1. Some people will love it and never heard and never played Guild Wars 1 or Guild Wars 2, and they will play Guild Wars 3 then. I think that's perfect. That's how we want it. Yeah. And yeah, we will have to see. But that's my idea here. I think it's going to be more like Destiny 2 style MMO. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a realistic assessment. Yep. It was close. Nice. Hopefully before it releases, I'll get to buy a new GPU and CPU. Yeah, I mean, me too. Yeah. Maybe do proximity voice chat? I don't know. I think all the games that do proximity voice chat, you also have always like toxicity a lot. And I think ArenaNet is a bit scared of that, I would say. Yeah, we will have to see. I think they are like more maybe like group-based voice chat, but I think it's not necessary, you know, with all the tools that you have nowadays. I don't see that being relevant that much. Thanks, Mr. Go. Really appreciate Prime. Hopefully enjoying the stream. Thanks for your support. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Like, what's Destiny 2 style? It's more like instance-based and like smaller groups that you play together with. And oh my god, a great sword dragon hunter. Like this is like a lot of damage. And now they're dead. Very good. Yeah. I think it's more like focused less on the MMO aspect, so like massive multiplayer aspect, than on the RPG aspect. That is the difference there. And we will have to see if we get more news about it very soon, but I will cover it and hope we get that, because I think that's the biggest thing that people asked for. How does it look like? What kind of game is it? We saw the trailer, but we don't know about like how much is it focused towards PvE? How much is it focused towards like smaller groups? You have to see. Yeah. How likely will it be to have an NPC with an AI responses? I don't know. I feel like maybe, but I think like AI, ArenaNet is a bit like, I think they are very aware of people fearing AI in game development as being like very boring and very like not very interactive. So I think if they implement it well, my hope is always that you have some kind of like really amazing features that are written by AI. I think the story, the characters, I think it's more healthy if they are also written by like real like humans. I think you can make arguments for making AI useful in game development a lot, but I think not necessarily for NPCs interactions. Maybe. That's just my take on that. Yeah. Welcome, Astrogamer. Welcome. Yeah. One thing they could do to avoid splitting the GW2 player base would be to have a shared chat for guilds. That would be really cool. I'm not sure if they can implement that, but like a shared chat between all the 3 games, that would be very cool. I don't know. We have to see. Yeah. On Steam, you can see the requirements for GW2. Yeah, you can see the requirements, but I said I'm not sure if they will stay like that. It's still 1.5 years out. This is the minimum requirements. That does not necessarily mean that the game runs very smoothly there. I don't know if the requirements will stay like that, because maybe they make some changes, maybe they make some adjustments, and we will have to see, you know. But for now, that doesn't seem like that scary, the requirements for Steam. At least what we see there, yeah. Yeah, you would feed the AI all the lore they know and how to respond in a natural manner. I'm not saying it's bad if it's executed well, but I think like if it's just a generic like chatbot AI answering, I think that will leave you a little bit like bored and not like excited about the game. If you know there's some really cool storytelling writing behind it, I think that can be really fun as well. I think AI in programming or in general can be a good tool, but you have to use it well. And I'm not sure if ArenaNet is really willing to put a lot of effort with AI in, or if they already can. Who knows? We will maybe get some information in the future, but I'm not a developer myself, so I cannot tell them how to do it. Is Elementalist hard to play for a new player? I think it's not the easiest to get into, but it's definitely like a fun class, and if you get the hang of it, it's really, really strong. So I would say if you like what you're seeing, Elementalist, definitely go for it. Don't say it's like a hard class to get into. If you like it, play it. And I think that's what you want. Yeah. And ArenaNet is good enough to create the best MMO in the new generation? I hope so. Yeah, I think that's realistic to think of ArenaNet. I think they are really good game studio when it comes to developing games and being innovative. So my guess is that they are willing to try new things to make it work. And that goes for everything. And I think Guild Wars 3, they would not have announced it right now if they were not sure that they couldn't make it work. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it, Ash Plays. Really appreciate Prime. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Thanks for the support. Very, very good. Yeah, that is just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I will be utterly disappointed when it comes out, or even before it comes out and I'm like disappointed because of some weird things they do. But for now, it looks like they are really living up to the hype, and hopefully they will show us in the next few weeks, months, the same thing. Yeah. If you like to press buttons and go Elementalist, that's probably one of the obvious reasons I went for it. Yeah, I think pressing a lot of buttons makes you like play Elementalist, because it's like you press a lot of buttons on this class. That's definitely true, for sure, for sure. Do you think Arena's timeline is realistic? Yeah, I think so. I think they would not have announced it if they wouldn't have like a clear timeline ahead. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they developed the game, Guild Wars 3 that is, for 5 years already. So I would be very, very surprised if they would just say, yep, this is now like suddenly delayed by 2 years. I don't see that. I think it's very realistic if they would announce it, that they will have a beta in fall 2027. They will have a beta in fall 2027. Ooh, I always like if the Phoenix hits for like 5k or something. It feels good. This guy will rally probably. If they are smart. Nope, they're not smart. They could have rallied from the scout here. Okay, good. Good. But even if you're disappointed, we will still have Guild Wars 2 to come back. That is true. Very good point, yeah. Even if you don't like what you're seeing with Guild Wars 3 when they announce it, when it comes out, it will always have the option, you will always have the option to go back to Guild Wars 2. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah. Will Guild Wars 3 be on consoles? On PS5, yes. On Xbox, so far we don't know, and probably not then, yeah. Yeah. It's 2026 too, so nobody will play some brain-dead grind game like Legendary or Skysky grinds. Yeah, I think it's like you have to imagine, like, yeah, we're playing Guild Wars 2 for the most part here in the chat, but I think a lot of players nowadays don't want to start a game that is like old and very grind heavy. So I think a lot of new players want something that is more like modern and more Syrma friendly, so to say. And I think that's what they are aiming for. You know, it might not be for you, but that is what they're aiming for. And you can still play Guild Wars 2 if you're looking for something that is more old school. Yeah, for sure. Guild Wars 3 is PS5. Yes, it's multi-platform. Yeah, it's multi-platform, but we don't know if it's like on Xbox. So far, it doesn't look like it will be on Xbox. Otherwise, they would have announced it. That is my analysis there. Yeah. I love Guild Wars 2, so it will be hard to beat. Yeah, I also love Guild Wars 2, otherwise I wouldn't make content about it, I wouldn't play it for so much. But I think you can love two games at the same time. You can play Guild Wars 2 now, and when Guild Wars 3 comes out, I will probably play a lot of Guild Wars 3, but I will never quit Guild Wars 2 completely. So I will probably make content about it when Guild Wars 3 comes out as well. I will make content about both games. I will play both of them, because they will probably be different enough to enjoy both of them without hurting the other. Yeah. My problem is, even if I don't like the new game, a lot of Guild Wars 2 players probably will, and it's already hard to make groups they could fill faster. Like I said, I think it heavily depends on how they implement the new updates and the new things that they will do with Guild Wars 2. If Guild Wars 2 is very focused on like containing new players, or like keeping the veterans interested, because we get new legendaries, we get new maps and stuff, and they keep new players and veterans alike interested in Guild Wars 2, even in like 5 years from now, I think filling just in general, filling groups could be harder, but it's not impossible. And I think that's what they're aiming for. And maybe we will get some kind of like henchmen or like heroes to join you as NPCs, and then it would be even then much easier, but I for now don't see it. But we will get more info, like I said, in not even 4 hours in the stream, what they're actually talking about in the video and the blog post. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I will cover it. It's just an MO. Yeah, it could be an MO only. Not an MMO, just an MO. Yeah, I think for me, it's MMO light, I would say. MO, however you want to call it. That's the most realistic assumption there, I would say. I will not stream until then, but I will cover it on a video. Yeah, I will cover it as a video as soon as it goes out, and cover the news then. My voice is already breaking, so I will probably stop streaming very soon. But I will cover it. I will probably stream tomorrow as well. We will do a lot of talks about everything, and there will be news on Tuesday as well. So like this is like the week, the next few days, like a lot of tight package stuff. So if you're not getting your drops right now, you will get them later as well. I will do it all the time, so don't worry. Yeah. I would not have issues for them for trying third-person player-centric, but PS5 is such a complicated device. I'm not sure. I think they know what they're doing. Like, I would be very, very surprised if ArenaNet decided to go for console without knowing what they have like to do. So I think they know what they're doing, and they're like ambitious enough and knowledgeable enough to both make it work. Yeah. Also, GW3 seems a bit too much of cartoony. I personally would have preferred a bit less. That is fair. That is a fair point. I think that goes for graphics in general. It's always very personal, very subjective. But I think that is just, you know, not everything is like to everybody's liking. So if the combat and the features are still good enough, you might still enjoy it. And maybe the graphics grow on you, you know. I would also say it's not like my absolute giga favorite fantasy graphics, but I think that's okay. If the combat and the features are good enough, I would be like completely fine with any graphics, to be honest. And yeah. Are there any more expansions for Guild Wars 2? So for now, we don't know about it yet, but in 4 hours they will probably announce something that will be either a new expansion, new living world, whatever. They will announce the future of Guild Wars 2. And that is quite likely to be an expansion, or at least some kind of like update scheme for the future. And people thought Guild Wars 3 would be the true WoW killer. No, I'm not so sure. Will it be the Riot's MMO? I think you should not aim to kill other MMOs. You should aim to create a new genre. You should aim to make something new that players are actually playing because it's unique enough. You don't want to make a game that is trying to be better than another game. You want to make a game that is so good that people come to it because it's so unique. You know, a lot of players played WoW because it did a lot of stuff very well and unique that no other game did before. You know, that's the important part. It's not you want to kill another game. I think that's the wrong mindset. Yeah. Also, Guild Wars 3 has to run on Linux. If it doesn't, I'm in a big problem. I don't know about that. I have no clue. Yeah, exactly. WoW is already like so popular. It's not you don't want to kill WoW. You just want to see if you can actually grasp some players that are more interested in your new game. Yeah. Expansion freeing, or maybe then Guild Wars 3 can also be in the future after Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. Maybe. Like I said, I think it does not look to be in the future. I think Guild Wars 3 really looks to be in the past with the story, with the magic and all that stuff. It looks way more Guild Wars heavy than it looks like some kind of future, because they talked about the guilds being at war and stuff like that. I think it's really in the past. Maybe a different timeline, but not after Guild Wars 2. Yeah, exactly. You want an own game that is like good enough to actually have a huge player base, and if players want to play WoW, they play WoW. If they want to play Guild Wars 2, they play Guild Wars 2. If they want to play Guild Wars 3, they play Guild Wars 3. I think that's how it should be. Not trying to aim to copy something and make it better. That's not necessarily being very effective. Yeah. I don't know why people still use this WoW killer term, because it's like it's always a meme at this point. Yeah. They already have confirmed that it takes like place 1000 years before Guild Wars 1. Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, I was not sure if they confirmed it or if it was just like a rumor, but yeah, it's written there. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Glad we're getting more fantasy over science fiction setting. I agree. I think that's for fantasy MMO better than having like this weird technology in there as well. I don't like this setting as much as it is like fantasy is more like classic, more natural. Yeah. It might hold people back if the PC requirements are too demanding, even if they listed minimum specs. The fact that PS5 is now included means the minimum technical factor is shared with console, therefore they need to keep the fidelity on both graphics and other features available for everyone. Yeah, I think you want to have a game that is running on a lot of lower end PCs as well, because if you have that, you have more access to more players. If you then have the graphic settings to make them higher and better for you, sure, but you should not like make a insanely crazy high-end graphics the minimum, because then you will just have less players, less audience that you can capture. Exactly. Yeah, but either way, I'm excited, you know, excited for the news today, excited for all the news about Guild Wars 2 and 3 in the future. Yeah, I will cover it, I will talk about it, and yeah, what more can I say? Yeah. Was it confirmed that it's gonna use Unreal Engine 5? Yes, it's confirmed. It is confirmed. That's pretty much confirmed, yeah. Very good, very good. Either way, I think that's the end of today's stream. I hope you enjoyed it. We had a blast talking about Guild Wars 3 in my opinion. Thanks for all your support. Like I said, I will cover it later in a couple of hours, what's happening with Guild Wars 2's future. I will probably stream tomorrow as well. I wish you all a very nice weekend. Thanks again for all your support. And yeah, I guess we hopefully see each other very soon and talk more about Guild Wars 3 and the future of Guild Wars 2. See you around. Thank you all and stay hyped, I would say. Stay hyped.